Hey there, Corey here for the PDGA, and welcome to round 3 coverage here from the 2018 PDGA World Championships. Coming into the day, it was anyone's game, but 3 men would rise to the occasion. Paul Macbeth, Paul Ulibarri, and Greg Barsby, all on the lead card, and all would look to make their bid to become the 2018 World Champion. It looked as if McBeast mode was activated early, as he would go lights out through the first 7 holes. Here he is on hole 3, piping that rock 3 up the gut for the easy 2. Catching back with Paul here on hole 5, he throws that Luster Firebird wide right, drawing it all the way back in. That's about 7 feet. Macbeth was dialed and so was Ulibarri, but unfortunately he would find trouble off the tee here on the par 5 hole 7, going out of bounds on his first shot, and here again on the third shot, he would settle with the double bogey 7. Now, Macbeth would find some trouble eventually here on hole 8, overcooks the sidearm as we saw Ricky Wysocki do during our round 1 coverage. Ooh, and shorts the putt on hole 9, and that is going to open the door for the rest of us. Greg Barsby here hitting the huge putt on hole 9. And again on hole 10. Uli on hole 12, putting his foot down and saying, "I'm not going anywhere." Macbeth with the outside the circle hit on the tough par 3 hole 13, but not to be outdone, Uli says, "Me too." Macbeth would find more trouble though on 14 as he clips the tree, falls out of bounds, and will drop 2 strokes to both Ulibarri and Barsby as they card their birdie 2s, while he is saddled with the lowly bogey. Another missed putt on the wooded 15 would cost another stroke. Uli though on 17 cashes his 2, Barsby his 2, and Macbeth the easy tap in 2 to maintain pace. Oh no, what has happened? Well, we know one thing. We're tied up on 18. Barsby with the box, and he is gonna unleash an aggressive shot over the OB the entire time. But he's a confident man, and that's a confident stroke. Ulibarri next on the tee does throw it a bit high, and that is scary out of the hand. That is tracking right for that out of bounds. Macbeth just puts too much angle here on this one, and that just never had a chance. Ulibarri and Macbeth both out of bounds. Everybody makes their up shots, but Macbeth airballs the putt, sliding out of bounds, unable to hit the comebacker. A triple bogey 7 to end his round, dropping him all the way to the chase card. Ulibarri able to clean up the 4, and Greggy Big Putts secures the birdie, giving him a 1-stroke advantage heading into the final round over Paul Ulibarri and another man lurking on the chase card.
Josh, Anton.
Maybe most famous for how close he came to winning a world championship in that epic playoff with Avery so many years ago. Today, he was looking to earn one of his own. Anton would be hot early, going 6 down through 7, but would find trouble on hole 8, not unlike Macbeth, but was able to recover with an absolutely fabulous second shot, riding that OB along that right side into an unbelievable 4P. The putter was dialed, but the hyzers were even better. Here he is on hole 14, absolutely posterizing the hole. Stepping onto 18, 26 under par and in position for a lead card appearance, he would go out of bounds off the tee. A sidearm upshot would set him up for a 38-footer, and he brings it home, keeping a 2-stroke lead over Nicola Castro and securing his position on lead card. Heading to the woods in the FPO division, Paige Bierkus looks to continue her march towards her first world championship. Paige didn't have her best stuff, but she did rally to keep it together, hitting that one on hole 1, this one on hole 10 to secure par. That one's for birdie though on the tough par 4 hole 11, where she had gone putter. Cashing in the easy birdie on hole 15. That hole is so tough. Here she is playing hole 17, absolutely picture perfect. Paige ends round 3 with a 5-stroke advantage over the field, looking to maintain over on the more open Fox run come round 4.
I played pretty safe today, had some dumb shots, but I still played pretty safe and I was only one back from Hokum, so if I can do that again, and I'm still one back from Hokum, I still have a 4-stroke lead, so.
Keeping our eyes on the most explosive player in the FPO division, the other Paige just did not have it today. Here she is on hole 2, just having a nightmare of a time. Hole 15, hitting the first available tree, and that was the tale of the day. It wasn't all bad though. She cashes this huge one on hole 7 and is able to pick up her first birdie of the day here on hole 18 and end her round on a good note. Sarah Hokum doing her best to try and whittle away that 6-stroke lead from Paige here on hole 1. Obvious sidearm play, especially for Sarah. Off the cage, and she almost dunks it for 1. Keeping pace with Paige all day, here she is playing the alternate line on hole 17, going sidearm for the birdie, just to show that on this one, it's dealer's choice. Sarah would end the day 5 strokes back of Paige Bjerkes, and on lead card with an unfamiliar face, Kristen Tatar, who shot a hot 4-over round.
They didn't know that I was doing that good to make it on the lead card, so after we finished the round, somebody told me, yo, you're up on the lead card, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm not doing that bad, because I was really angry with myself that I wasn't capitalizing all the good shots, So, yeah, I feel good. I'm happy.
Honorary mention awards for the day go to Sarah Lamberson, who combined a 73% scramble rate, 100% inside the circle 1 putting rate for a career best 999. Come on, PDGA, bump that to 1,000. Checking in on our round 3 leaderboard, Paige Bjerkes still paces the field 5 strokes ahead of Sarah Hokum, who maintains her 3-stroke advantage over Rebecca Cox, and newcomer to the lead card Kristen Tatar 2 strokes behind her at 11 over par. Paige Pierce drops to the chase card, and she'll join Jessica Weiss, Zoe Andyke, and Lisa Fakis, who stands 17 over, and Madison Walker, Erica Stitchcomb, and Holly Finley round out our top 10 heading into round 4. Checking back in with our MPO division, Greg Barsby leads the field 1 stroke over Paul Ulibarri, 2 strokes over Josh Anton, and 4 strokes over Nico LaCastro on an action-packed lead card. Paul Macbeth triple bogeyed hole 18 to drop himself to a tie for 4th, and onto that chase card joining Matt Oram, James Conrad, and Seppo Paju out of Finland. Ricky Wysocki and Andrew Presnell are going to round out our top 10, and the scores are tight. Please join us for our round 4 coverage on all sources, including Jomez Pro, Central Coast Disc Golf, and SmashBoxxTV.
Hi, it's Johnny V from SmashBoxxTV. Our Worlds coverage starts this Friday at 9:30 Eastern with the full FPO coverage. Then a short break, and we're giving you full MPO coverage. That's 2 full rounds per day. And each day that we're live broadcasting, we're going to be giving away over $500 in prizes. And all you need to do to be eligible is click the Super Chat button right beneath the chat. Every dollar you give to SmashBoxxTV will give you 1 entry into the drawing. So if you give $60, that's 60 entries. And we've got prizes from Black Ink Discs, Disc Golf Center, Infinite Discs, Keen Shoes, Dynamic Discs, Dude Clothing, Will Schustrick of Disc Golf Instruction. So join us on SmashBoxxTV's YouTube channel to be part of the broadcast.
vultures.
The table? Or just right here? Oh, right where the Lego box. Right there.
All right, we're here ready to tee off
It's not
for Pro Worlds. I was out around the practice baskets earlier checking in with a couple of players on lead card. Greg Barsby, battling a little bit of a cold right now. Says he's feeling fine, but so he should be okay, but something to keep an eye on. Nico Castro, Josh Anthon, both out here yesterday after the rounds, getting extra practice in. Nico actually said that he has been doing an extra round every day after every round. He wants it that bad. We know he's a passionate player. The other day, got a courtesy warning while he was on this card. Asked him about that. He said, look at any other sport, people play with emotions. That said, he said he spent a lot of his time in his life being angry. He's going to try for once, if things don't go his way today, to let things go. We're about 3 minutes from live tee time here, so we're going to send it back to you guys in the studio. And watch for a fast round today. We should have no backups with these gaps, so we'll check in with you guys later. Good to go? Cool, thank you, that was fun.
Some swirly vultures.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Day 4 at the 2018 PDGA World Championships. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall. And Robert, we're back for Day 4. The excitement is heating up, and where is it going to take us?
Yeah, we've got some close battles, and I think everyone is really excited to see how these are going to shake out over the next couple of rounds. We have 2 rounds of competition left. The men's side is going to play Brewster Ridge today, and then end up in Fox Run tomorrow. The ladies played Fox Run today, and they'll do the same thing tomorrow. And so some really tight races in both divisions, and a lot of people on the men's side up at the top. I mean, anybody could pop off a hot round and find themselves in the lead at the end of the day today.
Well, it will be very exciting. Of course, you've got Greg Barsby sitting up there atop the leaderboard. And what an exciting afternoon for him yesterday as he went out and did his thing. Him, along with Paul Macbeth, they were battling. Paul Macbeth ultimately falls off onto the top of the second card, which is definitely interesting to see. Is there anything that you're thinking about as I'm trying to take a look at UDisc, Paul Ulibarri obviously joining him? Is there anything that strikes you as a little odd or out of sorts at all here on the top?
On the top card, not so much. I mean, these are perennial great players who are here to win, and like we said, some of them looking for that career win to really kind of cap off their career. Not in the sense that they're going to retire, but like a cornerstone win. Maybe we could put it that way.
Great way to put it.
But then we've got players who we usually see up at the top who aren't performing quite as well this week. We've got Ricky Wysocki a few spots back right now. We've got Eagle McMahon several shots back right now. And so I'd say the biggest surprise would be to not see those 2 names in the top 5 or top 10. I do look for them to make big moves today. Maybe they're out of contention for the win, maybe they're not, but I do think we'll see them move up the leaderboard today.
All right. Well, again, Greg Barsby, Paul Ulibarri, Josh Anthon, along with Nico Castro, they're going to be getting at it here in just a few moments. I immediately look at the leaderboard, and as we said yesterday, he fell off onto the top of that second card. Paul Macbeth already in the first 3 holes, 3 under par.
Shocker.
So he's definitely all geared up, ready to go, and we'll see how that plays. We're going to follow along with UDisc throughout the entire day so we can keep track of who's moving up or down and who we're going to see on that final card tomorrow for our 5th and final round.
Can't wait.
All right, looks like we've got Michael Downs on the tee giving a few instructions to the gallery members. We'll get to the action right here on SmashBoxxTV.
To all of you, great skill to all of you, and congrats on being where you are right now. Let's have a great 4th round. Thank you, Mike.
So welcome everyone to the final card, the 4th round competition, the 2018 PDGA Disc Golf World Championships here at Smuggler's Notch. Today we'll be contesting on the par 61 Brewster Ridge course. This is our 3 o'clock final card. First on the tee, from Grass Valley, California, current leader, Greg Barsby.
Greg Barsby able to rely on the forehand shot here on the opening hole, hole number 1. And this really just sets up perfectly for anyone that is comfortable with that forehand release.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a bit of nerves from Barsby out of the gate. It looks like he's let that go just a bit left of where he'd like to. I'm a bit surprised not to see Paul Ulibarri not taking the forehand line here.
Paul celebrating his 30th birthday yesterday, looking for his first World Championships, and that is early, hard to the right.
Yeah, early right. It has actually filtered through pretty well. It looks like he's going to be on the backside of the trees nearest to the basket, approximately 60 feet from the basket.
Getting it the hard way.
That's a lot of routes.
Anton's disc has leaked out left, but was consistently turning to the right. Trying to put him around circle 2 for a look at his birdie. And no stranger to flare out on the course. Nico LaCastro. He did leave the leopard pants at home today, but he's got flowers.
I think some of our viewers are truly disappointed.
I think so.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And that has far too much turn out of Nico's hand. He'll find himself in the woods on the left.
Good luck out there, everybody.
Wow. Not very impressive drives as we're off on hole number 1. We'll see in a moment after a word from Innova Champion Disc.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
Greg Barsby pinched up on the right side of the fairway. And he's found a line, and that's going to bring him inside the circle.
And perhaps just a bit of early round nerves from Barsby there. He's extremely proficient with a forehand, so a bit surprising to see him miss this shot by a little bit. This hole is the 4th easiest hole on the course, playing at 0.18 strokes under par. I like this as an opening hole because it can sort of lull competitors into thinking, hey, this will be an easy round. This is the woods they were talking about. And I assure you, it gets only more difficult from here.
And almost an identical stance there from Nico LaCastro.
And beautifully played, right inside circle 10 feet. Bring it back. We see that Ulibarri has actually filtered through even a bit more than we had initially thought. He's going to be just outside circle 1, approximately 40 or 45 feet for his look at a birdie. And Ulibarri's bid is just high and left. Tickles some chains. He'll have to settle for a par here.
There's Josh Anthon for the lone remaining birdie opportunity.
And he as well is high and off left chains. He'll have to settle for a par as well.
Yesterday, in speaking with Steve Rico of Legacy Disc, a supporter here of the event, he had mentioned, as he's really good friends and rooming with Josh Anthon, he said, I think his exact words were, bro, he's got this.
Okay.
So Steve Rico is absolutely convinced, and I think at one point he guaranteed Josh Anthon to be your winner here at the World Championships.
That's expert analysis.
I listen to whatever Steve Rico says.
I would too. He's extremely good at disc golf. Greg Barsby's cleaned up his par. No harm, no foul. After a rough tee shot, he won't be dropping an additional stroke.
He said he's never seen so much focus in a player. So we'll see how that plays out today. Hopefully he can remain focused even with that shirt by Nico. What are we seeing on hole 2?
Hole 2 comes in at 550 feet. This hole plays at a 4.41 scoring average. It is the second most difficult hole on the course. The reason for that is that we've got tight fairways all the way down, and the landing zone that you need to find off of your drive is very narrow. The shot to get up to that landing zone is a really, really long forehand that finishes near the rock wall on the right, or a nice smooth turnover that's going uphill all the way and moving right all the way. If you do find the landing zone, you've got, I'd say, an easier second shot up to the basket. Really, all the work needs to be done on the drive here to put yourself in good position. If you find trouble, it's really easy to find OB over the rock wall on the right side, or just really difficult position. You could drive quite a ways up the fairway and just be a little off to the left, and that's trouble. It's basically jail over there. Par is a great score from that area.
Well, and I know we echoed this a number of times yesterday morning when we watched the FPO division navigate their way through the Brewster Ridge course. Finding the fairway is at a premium here.
Yes.
Because anytime, as you just said, you are more than a few feet left or right of the fairway, you can be in a world of trouble. And even if you are just slightly off of it, whether you have to pitch out or if you have to just try and find an angle to get into an opening, that can be really challenging. So I think on some of these tighter, narrower fairways, keeping it nice and low is going to be key as well, because if you throw a shot like here on hole 2 and you get the wind or the air underneath it and it kicks off and it heads 15, 20, 30 feet to the right, not only are you going to have a bad position, but you might also be penalized with an OB stroke on top of it. So
that's right.
Managing every single, both the height and the distance, all very critical here on these very tight fairways.
Definitely agree with you. And if you're not going to attack that landing zone for a birdie, you might as well play just something short in the fairway so that you can get up the secondary part of the fairway with your second shot to get an easy par. That would not be a bad play for most of our competitors. If indeed they don't want to play for that birdie, you can get a relatively easy par.
So we're going to see the same teeing order as everyone parred on hole number 1.
Barsby's taking the forehand route, and he has turned and burned that over on the left side. Extremely uncharacteristic for Barsby, who's known as having one of the best forehands in the game. Ulibarri's drive is standing up nicely. That has unfortunately gotten a skip over to the left, and he is going to have an extremely difficult time getting a birdie from there. Anthon's drive is leaking a bit right. He's found a little path over on the right side.
He ultimately gets the green flag, and that was exactly what I was talking about. He hit a tree, it immediately kicked to the right, but because it was already coming in so low, it did not get up and over that OB rock wall on the right-hand side. And
there actually is a path over there, so that's not a bad spot to land. And Nico's gone with a shorter play that I was just talking about. That's going to be an extremely difficult shot to get up and down for a birdie, but not too bad for a par.
Some swirly vultures.
As you had mentioned, Robert, we see Barsby off to the left side of the fairway. And that forehand flick looks like it should work. Now it's just going to be really a matter of, does he have a position from there? Because there are still a lot of trees between him and the basket.
I think if he throws a shot almost identical to the one he just threw, that should put him close enough to the basket. More than likely, that was a forehand with a rhino. He's really proficient with that slow spinning. It's a putter and approach disc, and so that's a great choice for approaching into these greens. A lot of times, your putters are going to get more favorable kicks off of trees as well because they aren't spinning so fast. So I do think Greg has found a good spot. He'll likely be able to get up and down for his par.
As you can see, Nico is trying to account for that root that's going to be right in his run-up.
Looks like Nico's found a tree on his approach to the basket. He doesn't seem to have found a lot of trouble, so he'll likely still have an opportunity to save par.
While we're watching as our players are moving up the fairway, Robert, it's a lot colder, and I'll use the term cold. I almost was going to say chillier. It's colder than it was just 2 days ago. It was in the mid to high 80s, and today we're pushing mid to low 60s.
That's right. It was consistently high 50s while we were out on the course today, which is some of my favorite weather. So I wasn't sad, but we are going to see our competitors wearing some longer sleeves, probably some pants. I prefer playing in a little bit colder weather, as I'm sure a lot of these competitors do, because you don't have so much to deal with sweat on your hands and things like that.
And there's a roller by Josh Anthon getting up most of the fairway. I think he'll be overall pretty pleased with that effort. In fact, he's going to have a long look at a putt for birdie from there. A pro tip I've been suggesting to these players for many years is when they're talking about weather and layering and just how warm you might get, always just travel with a winter layer on, and that's what I do. Everywhere I go, I've always got an extra layer just
in case it gets cold. You're ready.
Yes, I never have to worry about getting cold.
I respect that. You're planning ahead.
For the last 40 years.
I just carry my vest around with me all the time.
Oh, you can do that
It
too.
was vest weather this morning, and it was fantastic.
And now here's another roller, this time by Ulibarri.
And this is on a good angle. That's climbed a decent part of the fairway. Looks like he's going to be a little outside circle one, maybe directly between circle 2 and circle 1 for his look at a birdie, I believe. That was a fantastic shot from the jail that is the left side of this fairway.
So here's Barsby's third shot.
And that's almost a carbon copy of his shot to that spot.
Yep.
That's going to secure his par.
I think back to the Green Mountain Championships a couple of years ago, or could have possibly then coincided with the Pro Tour finale that was taking place out here. Ricky Wysocki throwing one in from about that distance a few years ago for the Eagle.
That's
and doing it with a forehand, just an incredible shot.
That was actually in a couple of holes on hole 4 over that rock wall.
Well, it looked a lot like this one.
But the holes are shaped almost identically. I agree with you.
I think we call that foreshadowing. Robert?
Yeah, that's right. We'll talk about that later on. Holes 2 and 4 do certainly mirror each other in the landing zones that they present to the players and the approach to the basket. And here's a little bit more foreshadowing. They play as some of the most difficult holes on the course as well. This is Anton's birdie attempt.
Looks like he grabbed a little bit of metal there as he comes up short. Matthew Oram, Matty O, as many of us know him by, has started out hot today. He is 4 under through the first 5 holes. So the only hole he missed was hole 2. Otherwise, he's had birdies on 1, 3, 4, and 5. So off to a great start. Sapu Payu has also birdied 3 out of 5 to get started. Paul Macbeth has bogeyed holes 4 and 5 to go from 3 under back to 1 under. Oh, yeah.
Ulibarri's putt stays in the left side of the basket. That is a fantastic 3. We've got only 9% of the MPO field taking birdie on this hole. Now 10% if you include Paul Ulibarri. More than half the field is taking a par 4 here. And Nico is dropping in for his par.
Ulibarri ties it up with Barsby. Let's take a look at hole 3.
Hole 3 measures in at 325 feet, and this is the easiest hole on the course, coming in at 2.65 scoring average. We've got pardon me. I'm sorry. We've got 41% of the MPO field carding birdies here, 52% of the field taking pars, and only 6% taking bogey or worse. This is a must get. 100% must get. Most players are going to be throwing either a putter or a mid-range up this hill. The only real difficulty once you approach the basket is that the basket is a bit elevated. If you land on the short side and happen to miss off the cage or off the rim or airball, it's easy to go a little bit long and have a somewhat obstructed comeback putt to this elevated basket. If our competitors leave with anything but a 2 here, they will certainly be disappointed. Ulibarri's line is clean. This is fading left of the basket. He's come up inside circle 1, probably around 30 feet away. Barsby's drive is a line drive at the basket. Expertly played, landing approximately 15 to 18 feet from the basket.
Coming up just short of Barsby's will be Josh Anthon's.
Last to tee is Nico LaCastro. This will end up just in front of Ulibarri and Anthon.
Here's a word from our sponsor.
Bruce Willis was a ghost. Gwyneth Paltrow's head is in the box. Snape kills Dumbledore. Mrs. Bates was dead. Ross and Rachel end up together. Rosebud was the sled. Tyler Durden doesn't exist. Vader is Luke's father. Ned Stark is killed in Season 1. Miss Voorhees was the killer. Soylent Green is people. This is a public service announcement. There are no spoilers in sports. Watch live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Are you currently looking for the one? How do you get hooked up usually?
Through friends.
Players' parties.
Sometimes even fans.
And how's that been working for you?
Not so good.
Have you ever tried looking online?
Never.
You should check this site out.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Find your go-to disc at blankinkdiscs.com today. 2018 tour support discs available now.
Gotta get one.
I need one.
Welcome back to hole 3. We've got Nico LaCastro over his putt inside circle 1. Nico's bid is low and off the right side cage. Bit of a roll, but nothing that should create an extra stroke for him. He'll have to settle for par here. And with a stark contrast in speed of play, Josh Anthon steps up to his mini and puts his putter in the center of the basket.
So if you give Josh Anthon about 5 seconds and Nico 55 seconds, between the two, they average out to the allotted 30 seconds.
You may be right. I think Nico is probably in his 30 seconds on this one. At least it looked like to me. It feels like a long time.
We cut in at the end of that
agree
commercial.
to disagree.
Yeah. Don't make us get out the Smashbox timer because we have one.
Started.
Yuli just short. In speaking to Yuli over the last couple of days, he said he just feels like his putting stroke has really been on. So, I mean, I know that was just simply one missed putt, but that's great to have. I mean, if there's ever a week for your putt to make sure it's there and it's on, it's here at the World's Week.
And as I said yesterday, I got to play with Ulibarri at Nantucket this past weekend, and he made all kinds of putts. I mean, those were automatic, and so a little hitch to start his round here, but his putting stroke has definitely been on. Look to see him rebound from that quickly.
And the easy comeback.
Nico will take his par. Last to putt will be Greg Barsby. Barsby is up and in for his two.
All right, let's take a look at hole 4.
Hole 4 comes in as the 8th most difficult hole on the course, which is surprising to me coming into this weekend. Earlier, I probably would have said this is the 4th or 5th most difficult, but playing as the 8th most difficult at a scoring average of 4.18, we've got 18% of the field taking birdie and then 50% taking par. As I said, just like hole 2, this is a landing zone that's somewhat difficult to get to. It's a little bit more of an anhyzer that rides uphill, you really want to land in the center of the trees through which the drone is flying right now. That's going to set you up for your best opportunity at throwing something just over the edge of that rock wall and up to the basket in the wood chips. 3 is a great score here. Birdie is going to be probably gaining a stroke on a decent chunk of the field. 4 is not going to be bad at all. As I said, half of our competitors have taken par on this hole today, with 32% taking bogey or worse. We'll likely see most of our competitors take either a mid-range or a fairway driver at this drive. Distance isn't so much a premium as making sure that your right to left is where it needs to be. Barsby takes a forehand and needs that to flare to the right, and it's just stayed a bit shy of the gap. With his forehand, he'll likely be able to make something work, but he wanted that to track a little bit more to the right. This looks probably like a leopard from Anton, and he's turned it well. He just needs it to stay outside the row of trees on the right side. If it has in fact landed inside that row, he's going to have a great look at a birdie 3. Ulibarri opts for more of a hyzer flip than a forced anhyzer, and he's played it beautifully. That is dead in the middle of the gap. That's going to give him a great opportunity for an upshot. Nico opts for more of the forced anhyzer, and he catches the last tree on the right side and kicks left.
Here's a word from our sponsors from hole 4. Welcome back. We are here on the fairway of 4, maybe just to the off to the side, the left side of the fairway of 4. And I want to quickly give you another update. Matthew Oram, 5 under through the first 6 holes. We're also seeing James Conrad has racked up 4 birdies, but has a single bogey. So he sits at 3 under for the round. He sits at 26 under overall. Sepu Payu sits still at that 3 under for the round and 25 overall. That's exactly where Paul McBeth sits, along with Andrew Presno. Paul McBeth is currently putting for a birdie on hole number 7.
Nico's disc actually kicked far enough to the left that he could play the fairway on the left side if he wanted to, but it looks as if he's lining up maybe a cut roller up the hill here. That would be an extremely aggressive play. It is, in fact, a cut roller. It is climbing up the gap.
Wow, I really do like the play, except for it just didn't seem to stand up for him, and that's exactly what he needed. So he's going to be on that left side. I'm not sure he's going to even have a look at the basket from over there.
Considering where his drive ended up, I think he'll be okay with par. At least I think most players would be, especially having thrown such an aggressive second shot on which so much could have gone wrong. If he does have a look for birdie, that will be quite fortunate. Barsby's drive is just a bit left of the landing zone. But he's thrown a beautiful shot through the trees. Looks like he's going to stop just shy of the rock wall. It's going to give him a putt. It's probably going to be around 50 feet.
Josh Anton confirming that he's ready to throw, or actually he's now going to get a spot to make sure that his footing is appropriate. And I really like that play here at the professional level as well as any amateur level. He was basically calling over Paul Ulibarri to say, here's where I'm planning on standing. Are you good with this spot or this position? And here's how I'm going to be lining up. And that's really good to do, especially if you have a goofy angle to the basket. You want to make sure your whole group knows, hey, I'm planning on standing right here, but if you line it up, it's actually the correct angle. And it's good to do beforehand.
Yeah, and I think that just eases my mind as well, so that other competitors don't think I'm trying to get away with something, just so we all know what's going on beforehand. I think that's the, exactly like you said, that's the professional play.
Looks like almost like a Conrad or Dickerson fake out there for a moment.
And Anton has thrown something with some real stability, and that is nearly picture perfect. From his position, that's an incredible shot. That's going to put him approximately 15 feet from the basket for his birdie 3, making this hole look pretty easy from a difficult position. And far and away, the best drive on this card belongs to Paul Ulibarri. He'll be next to throw. Ulibarri opts for the flex forehand just over the rock wall.
Oh.
He gets a skip off the rock wall, and from his perspective, it looked like he might have made it, but he'll settle just inside Josh Anton. That's 2 likely birdies for Ulibarri and Anton. And this was the site of Ricky's Eagle 2 from the middle of the fairway. I believe the basket was a little bit farther left the last time they played it, but it was a forehand with a harp, and he put it in the middle, and I was on the course behind him and didn't really have many well, I'm having difficulty coming up for words now as well. I was just so impressed by the shot.
You're in awe.
Yeah, it was incredible.
If Ulibarri would have stuck that one in off of the rocks, I think the next phone call maybe would have been to Brody Smith or some kind of trick shot.
Just as you said, Terry, this is a difficult spot for Nico. It's unlikely that he has a straight line to the basket. He'll likely just have to try and make something happen through a couple of narrow gaps in the trees. And a Spikeheiser putt of sorts, really all that he had over there. That's not a bad play. Par is not a bad score here at all.
No, this card is looking at still playing this hole under par, which is very impressive.
Barsby with a miraculous second of his own will be lining up outside circle 1 here. It's hard to tell from our perspective, but it looked as if he navigated an extremely narrow gap right out of the gate just to find himself in this spot. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Greg Barsby with the long putt uphill here on hole number 4.
And he is dialed in from that distance. We've seen him make so many circle 2 putts this week.
That'll push Barsby to 30 under par. Still your outright leader. Josh Anthon takes the birdie. He's at 28 under par. Paul Ulibarri will move to 29 under par with the birdie. So Nico left out of the birdie party there. We're going to move on to hole 5. What are we going to see here?
Hole 5 plays 285 feet. This is the 13th most difficult hole on the course, so 6th easiest hole with a scoring average of 2.91. This hole plays a straight fairway with a slight fade to the right down by the basket. Players are looking to throw either a flex forehand, a straight forehand, or just something that rides straight on a backhand and subtly finishes to the right. The green does run away behind the basket, so anybody who has a little too much speed might find themselves in a difficult spot. The most important thing not to do here is to be early left, because there is a rock wall on the left that's out of bounds, or early right, which has a lot of very thin trees to trap your disc and give you a difficult approach to the green.
I think that was so great on hole 4.
Narrow gap right out of the gate just to find himself in this spot. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Greg Bart. Great effort by Barsby. I'm also taking a look at the board, seeing with that par, in fact, all 4 pars by Nico LaCastro, he is now dipped into a tie for 9th, and also in a tie for 9th, moving up 5 spots to meet him there, is Nate Perkins. Perkins is 6 under through 8 holes.
And if you needed any confirmation that this hole shapes well for a forehand, we have Josh Anthon going to the forehand here. Yeah. Josh, not well known for throwing forehands, though I've seen him throw some pretty good ones when forced to. Ulibarri plays more of a stand-up forehand and just pulls it a bit left. He has kicked down right and will not be having a look at birdie. And this is an incoming 4 forehands on hole 5's tee. Here's Nico LaCastro lining up, more than likely a bit of a flex forehand. And this is a very overstable disc. He's pulled that to the left and is waiting to get confirmation if it's in bounds, and it looks like that has in fact gone out of bounds.
Nico with a second forehand here, and that one should work out for him. It looks like he might be somewhat obstructed from the short right side of the fairway. So at this point, there have been 5 throws on hole 5, all forehands, and Ulibarri is contemplating to make that 6.
Sure might make it 6. It looks like he's eyeing up a really narrow gap on the right side of the fairway, or thinking about throwing a patent pending or something like it out to the left side, just to get himself back in the open.
And there, Ulibarri's caddy, Alan Stewart, on the bag.
This is an extremely tight gap, but Ulibarri's basically telling everyone, I didn't drive all the way to Vermont to lay up. He's just pushed that a bit to the left from his perspective. That's going to be still outside circle 2. Ulibarri likely taking a bogey here on hole 5.
And not taking a bogey today, Seth from Disc Golf Strong. He's celebrating a birthday. So
nice.
Happy birthday to Seth. Many of you know him as he has been helping out thousands of disc golfers out there with his Disc Golf Strong. Make sure you find him on Facebook. He's always been very supportive of live broadcasts, of post-production, and obviously of disc golf in general. Like I said, helping out so many of our athletes. And he's working on some big stuff here that's going to debut a little later in the season or as the off-season nears us. And I can't spoil it for everyone, but I'm excited as he was telling me about the project last night. So happy birthday to Seth.
No spoilers, Terry.
No spoilers here.
That's well played for Ulibarri. He will, in fact, walk away with a bogey.
Also celebrating a birthday, since we're on the topic, Dan Nye out there, local route photography.
Nice.
He's been taking some great photos. Many of you have seen those as well on Instagram, Facebook. Please go out, give him a like and a follow. He's just doing great work, like so many of our photographers out there. He's also celebrating a birthday. And if you or your loved one are celebrating a birthday, we can put it up on our banner today for, no, I'm just kidding. Just like at the ball games.
For the low price of $19.99? Is that where that was going?
Exactly where I was going with that.
Of a $19.99 super chat.
And any $100 super chat does get you a shout out. Here's Josh Anthon for birdie.
Oh, Anthon's attempt is just low, but a great line from there. He'll be taking par here. And here's Barsby with the closest drive of the bunch, but on a hole like hole 5, you would expect the lead card to be just a bit closer, especially with some forehand, we'll call them experts.
Yeah, very surprising to see this being the closest to the pin thus far.
Oh, and Barsby taking a step toward it as if he was going to run it down. He's missed just on the right side of the basket and rolled a bit past. Next to throw will be Nico. He's gone out of bounds on his drive and then thrown his third shot with a penalty to here. This is going to be a circle 2 putt to save his bogey 4. Nico deliberate over his lie and pours his putt in for the bogey 4. That's a great save, especially considering where his third shot with the penalty had landed.
He runs up in jubilation.
Let's call it moderate jubilation just to be safe.
Okay, I guess that's a fair way to put it.
Barsby is in for his par. Ulibarri will be dropping in for bogey here. And Anthon in for his par.
Let's take a look at hole 6.
Hole 6 is one of my favorite holes on the course, 365 feet downhill to the left. This is coming in as the 5th easiest hole on the course with a scoring average of 2.83. We've got 31% of the MPO field birdieing this hole, 55% taking par. The play is to throw, you can almost throw any speed, which is one of the really cool things about this hole. You could throw a putter, mid-range, even a fairway driver. As long as it's moving down to the left and isn't coming into the green too hot, you should have a look at your birdie too. You don't want to push the backwoods line too much, but you can't saw it off early, as both of those places will give you extremely obstructed lies. Anything that goes over the top of the basket or comes in too hot on the left side might hop over the rock wall as you see behind. That's going to leave them a little outside the circle for their look at their birdie, or even worse for par if they happen to hit an early tree.
All right. Well, it's a very birdieable hole.
Definitely. And one that you want to get.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, obviously there's been some opportunities in the previous 5 holes, but this is one where you step up to and you're like, okay, this is one that I should get. I just have to simply throw something out that's going to fade down to the left and just let gravity really do some of the work there. 365 feet. You mentioned earlier that Greg Barsby was closest to the basket. He was outside the circle on the previous hole. Not something you'd necessarily expect from such a talented lead card.
No, surprising for sure, especially like we said with some forehand specialists on the card. I will be very surprised if we don't have at least 1 or 2 discs inside the circle here on hole 6. The real trouble is just hitting the initial gap. If you hit the initial gap, you should be fine to get a 3. Even if you don't filter down to the basket as well as you'd like, you can get up and down. The problem is if you go in early left or yank it too much to the right, then you're scrambling downhill, which is a really touchy approach to the basket.
Well, and with that bogey, we see Nico LaCastro is now dipped from 8th place down to 10th place as he sits at -23. Moving up the leaderboard, we see Paul Macbeth and Andrew Presnell sitting at 26 under par. They're in a tie for 6th. James Conrad shooting very well. He's 4 under through 7. He sits in 5th place. And then Matty O, along with Paul Ulibarri and Josh Anthon, all knotted up at 28 under par. Orem off to a great start today, 5 under through 7 holes, and certainly trying to make his move today. Many of you, I know when I was brought into the game, or I was started playing many years ago, out on the tour, you frequently saw Matt Orem and Greg Barsby. They were kind of the 2 funny travel mates that were always together, always out there grinding it out, playing hard. And so great to see literally 10 or 12 years later, I think about rooming next to them at the 2005 Worlds. Here we are 13 years later, and they're both fighting for a top spot on the lead card.
So cool to see. Barsby's line is great out of his hand. That is filtering down to the left, tracking toward the basket.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotten a great skip and has come up inside the circle. He will be pleased with that result. Likely 20 feet for birdie.
And as you see, Josh Anthon does not mess around. He does not slow down. He gets up. He's usually ready to throw. Sometimes you're barely off the tee before he is standing there and ready to go.
And another great initial line from Anthon.
Yeah, it looks like he's pured this. And he's going to be just deep of the basket, but that should work for him.
Yeah, that's a great line. And once you hit that initial gap, if the speed is right, it's kind of lucky or unlucky if it's going to stay by the basket. Ulibarri's angle is great if it's pushing far enough forward. And he has gotten a little bit speedy and has skipped over that rock wall. He'll be right around circle one's edge, putting back for his birdie too.
Looks like a great line by LaCastro. Can it stay clean? And yes, it does. Great shot by Nico. Here's a word from one of our supporters. Welcome back, everyone. We are here on hole number 6, and I think back to this morning's round, or even yesterday morning's round, actually out at Brewster Ridge. Flow of play was a little bit of a challenge.
Yes.
And of course that happens because of errant shots. That happens because of spotters and people trying to find their discs and all sorts of reasons why that can happen, whether it's good or not so good play. Right now, we're in a really good flow, unlike how I'm delivering this entire statement. So what I'm really trying to say is, does it mean anything when you're at the last card of the day? If there's a backup on the course, if there's any challenges, we may run into those. Does that mean anything for our players?
Oh yeah. Once you get to the course, you want to just go. You want to start playing, and especially if you're playing well, the last thing that you want to do is wait. And so it's nice that we have waited a little while to send the lead card off so that we don't have backups. As a competitor, like I said, that can be the death knell to your round. Every once in a while, I'll enjoy a backup if I'm playing really poorly because it kind of feels like a reset. But these guys, I think they're ready to go, and I would never want to wait if I were them.
Oh, yeah. There's a great putt. Paul Ulibarri finding that solid putting stroke he talked about, and we possibly could be looking at a star frame here on hole 6. Uli, I believe, was the furthest one out, and these look like all but tap-ins for this lead card from here. Nico makes sure of it, cards the birdie.
And there's our first star birdie of the day. Well done by our lead card
First one we've seen actually this week.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about that.
Here's hole 6. Or hole 7 if we wanted to go to the next hole.
We actually just looked at hole 6, but
Yeah, I'd love to take a look at hole 7.
Let's talk about hole 7
I wonder what
instead.
our producer thinks of that.
Oh, here we go. Here's hole 7. This is 565 feet. The 5th most difficult hole on the course, playing at a scoring average of 4.22. Players are going to want to take one of two routes. Just to the left of where the drone is looking right now is a decent landing spot. You can also punch out along the right side path that's to the right of the camera as we speak. Both of these will afford opportunity to get up to the basket. The left gap is going to be a little bit tighter all the way, whereas the right gap opens up a little bit more and gives you more of a straight tunnel up to the basket. This basket is elevated slightly and can have some rollaways if discs come in at the wrong angle. 4 is a great score here. Birdie is almost gaining you a stroke on the field every time. We've got 19% of our players birdieing today, with 48% taking par, and then a third of the field taking bogey, double, or I even see one of those dreaded dark orange bars, triple or worse. Barsby's drive is early left. He played for the gap on the left side, but looks as if he's ended up closer to where the right side gap would be. He'll have a bit of a difficult angle to approach the green from there. Anton's drive is right and moving right. That is not his best effort. If you do kick right into the trees on that side of the fairway, birdie is definitely out of the question. Sometimes par could be out of the question as well. Ulibarri's drive is straight down the middle, skipping up to the left side.
Wow. That little kick off that final tree is actually going to be a huge advantage to him. He should have a relatively clean run up and approach. Great drive by Paul Ulibarri.
Yeah, That's a great spot to find yourself. Nico's drive is early right immediately.
Well, looks like he filtered through, and some of you asked, how can you support the broadcast and what we're doing? Here's how.
Each day that we're live broadcasting, we're going to be giving away over $500 in prizes. And all you need to do to be eligible is click the Super Chat button right beneath the chat. Every dollar you give to SmashBox TV will give you 1 entry into the drawing. So if you give $60, that's 60 entries. And we've got prizes from Black Ink Discs, Disc Golf Center, Infinite Discs, Keen Shoes, Dynamic Discs, Dude Clothing, Will Shoestrick of Disc Golf Instruction. So join us on SmashBox TV's YouTube channel to be part of the broadcast.
The Pro Tour Pinch Bag, created by Upper Park. 17 to 20 discs. Sleek, urban design for daily commuter use. Abrasion resistant, waterproof base, ultra lightweight. Whether you're heading into the office or the gym, on a weekend hike, exploring another country, or at your favorite local course, the Pinch adapts to meet the situation and looks good doing it. Supplies are limited. Pre-order yours today.
We're back with Josh Anthon on hole number 7. And again, thank you all to all of our super chatters. Today's contributors will be recognized and announced tonight and tomorrow. Tough to determine just how effective that roller was by Anthon, but it looks like it did the job. And I know we just mentioned the super chatters a little earlier. Johnny, actually, from yesterday's broadcast, which so many of you participated in, thank you. We had a lot of winners. Most of you were reached out to or already had a conversation in some with regards to Johnny V. So what I will go ahead and do is make sure everyone knows Duke of Nowhere was the winner with Black Ink Discs, Justin Jones with DD Discs, Frank Reynolds, the DGC gift certificate, Scott Elam with the Dude Package, Jamo Colo with the Infinite Disc, and Disc Golf Nerd was your Keen winner. So those were all your winners, people that participated yesterday. Again, that all resets. There were a few people that wanted to get in on it. You can get in every single day. We appreciate all of the support. And thank you, most importantly, to all of the sponsors, including Dynamic Discs, who has also helped present Robert McCall with us. Talk about the greatest sponsorship ever.
I like those guys pretty good, you know.
You would.
Disc Golf Nerd won some Keen stuff?
Yes.
That seems rigged, man.
Yeah, you would think so, because he also helps. But a few dollars grease our palms real well.
That's right. How about I'll give you $50 in Super Chat today for a Keen win tomorrow.
If you're looking for that birthday call out, that also can be done.
My birthday's later this month. How much do I have to Super Chat for that?
You just be here.
All right, sounds good. And Nico has covered almost all of the distance of the fairway despite missing the fairway to the right side. He actually has a bit of a look from there. Unfortunately, he's put his forehand just a bit too low and has kicked into the right. He'll likely have to settle for par here. Wow, lots of Super Chat coming in. Thank you guys so much for supporting the broadcast. Very much appreciate it.
We have, with all of today's contributions, we have almost covered our hair expense for Robert and I for the weekend. So
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
We're still in the hole.
We're still a few hundred short on that. Barsby looks like he's opted for the turnover forehand. Maybe more of a flex. He has covered a decent bit of distance. Looks like he'll be around circle 2 looking for his shot at a birdie. Oh, all kinds of super chat right now. Thank you guys so much. Chris Goodrich, good to see you tuning in. Hope all is well, buddy.
We certainly appreciate it. Robert, there's also a game that we have decided to start here at Smashbox. It is, can you out super chat your neighbor?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I suggest all of you try it.
Yeah. Now, is this only valid if your neighbor is also watching disc golf, or is your neighbor?
No,
this is like a metaphorical neighbor.
Yeah, of course, we're all in this community together. So you, of course, want to get all of your friends and family watching, and then you see who can out super chat the other. And then you get bragging rights.
Seems like a great game. See, look, Tony and John are playing it right now. John donates $14.99. Tony hits him with a $15.
Wow.
You guys are really good at this game already. It's as if you knew the rules.
Tony from Sail On Enterprises, actually, and in all seriousness, as a supporter here, as we get back to the action, Tony helps support us with web services, computer services. We really appreciate all of your support, Tony. And here's Paul Ulibarri back with some of the action.
Ulibarri with the best drive of the bunch.
Oh,
just a bit deep of the basket, leaving him a great opportunity to get a birdie 3 here.
Good looking gallery moving up the fairway here on hole number 7. You were out there on the women's coverage or with the women's division this morning, both chase card and the lead card. I'm sure you saw. It looked like there was some gallery and people taking in the live action out there, huh?
Yeah, it was great to see the gallery on the women's side, and I think that's only going to get bigger as we've got a pretty exciting lead card tomorrow. Paige Bierkus holding on to a 5-stroke lead over Paige Pierce, who shot a 2 under par today. Fantastic round from Paige Pierce. And so, yeah, we've got some competitors who are going to be vying for the title. We've got, as I said, Paige Bierkus largely untested on this scale. And then, as we know, Paige Pierce with 4 world championships, but a 5-stroke deficit to overcome. We've still got Sarah Holcomb in the mix as well, along with Rebecca Cox. We've got a lot of competitors, and I'm just really excited to watch that battle unfold tomorrow.
And we're going to take a quick look at the scores as these guys are also getting into position. A moment ago, very quickly, Josh Anthon stepped up and threw. I feel like I could just hit repeat on that as he is very quick to throw. Josh sitting at the 3 under through our first 6 holes. He's 2 back of Greg Barsby. Barsby waiting on the gallery. So you see off in the distance, the gallery is kind of moving about. I believe that's behind hole 10 as they're moving from 10 over to 11. So understandably, he's going to stand down for just a moment, wait for all of the gallery to move out of the position so that they're not a distraction to him. Exactly what you want to do. Just simply stand back, collect your thoughts, and wait it out. James Conrad, 6 under this round through the first 10 holes. Just a single blemish on hole number 5. Matty O has cooled off slightly. He still sits at 5 under through 10 holes.
We'll have a note about the gallery here after Barsby putts.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, Barsby strikes from long range. He is dialed in from that distance, and it's just really fun to see. That's going to be a birdie for Greg Barsby on this. As I said, fifth hardest hole on the course. He'll be carding a birdie 3. It is your prerogative as a player to allow all distractions to clear before you throw your shot. And so if there's a bug buzzing around your head, if there's a gallery like there is today, even if there are people just walking behind the basket, it is your prerogative, but also your responsibility as a player to allow those distractions to clear before taking your shot. Ulibarri is up and in for his 3. Beautiful drive, beautiful approach. Well done.
It's great to see him fully rewarded after such an impressive drive off the tee. And Anton with the bogey here on 7. He's going to fall 4 back of Greg Barsby. And Nico Locastro taps in. We've got a brief walk over to 8. We'll see you there. Let's take a look at it, Robert.
Hole 8 is one of the new holes here on the Brewster Ridge course. This is playing as the most difficult hole here, coming in at 610 feet, 4.57 scoring average. This is not surprising to me, as earlier on the week when we were practicing this, it's really difficult to find a great landing zone from the tee to approach the basket. Your drive ideally needs to beat the trees in the middle of the fairway and finish up on the left side. That opens up an opportunity for you to throw either a straight shot or a slight turnover up to this basket. There are trees all throughout the fairway just waiting to kick you into the woods on the right or the left side. 4 is going to be a great score here, as we see 50% of the pro field taking par, only 5% of the pro field taking birdies today. That's 12 players. This is one of my favorite new holes on the course. Actually, all of the changes that they've made, I really enjoy. I am excited for this to get worn in just a little bit more. And I think once it is, this is going to be a fantastic disc golf hole.
I'm not sure just how recent these changes are. Obviously, they've happened since last year, since we were here. When we were in Nantucket last week, and that's when I first heard of the changes. Steve Brinster, who's been instrumental in the course design out here, along with some course consultation, along with Jeff Spring, have been working on these changes together. But when you go out there and you see a hole like this one that's carved out of the woods, it's not just a disc golf hole that was placed out there. This thing was carved completely out of the woods.
That's right.
You're talking about just a tremendous amount of effort and work, volunteerism, I'm sure, along with some paid staff and helpers. Maybe there was a club and some other people that were all part of it, but really great to see. I remember Steve Brinster talking about the previous hole 8 that we would normally be going to. It was about 175 feet, maybe 200 feet, and he just considered a pinball hole, and he wasn't a big fan of it. So they went extreme the other way and decided to make it 600 feet uphill.
Extremely difficult. In fact, the hardest hole on the course. That's a good kick out for Barsby. He has fallen in the middle of the fairway, albeit a bit on the right side. He'll have a bit of an obscured angle up to the basket, but still an opportunity to get up and down. Ulibarri's played more of a hyzer flip, needing that to move to the left. He's asking for it, and it has. That is about as perfect as a drive could be here on hole 8. As a competitor, I would be extremely envious of that shot. As a commentator, I can just speak nicely about it.
We'll see if Nico can get himself back on track.
Nico playing for the flex. He started it at the left side. Wow, and that is another great drive. That takes supreme confidence in your disc to start it at the left side, knowing that it's going to move to the right.
And Josh Anton, of course, wasting no time and also putting it right into the center of the fairway.
3 incredible drives here and 1 pretty darn good drive as well.
When you order from Dynamic Discs, we do our best from start to finish. First, we receive your order from the website and print out the packing slip detailing the specific items you selected. Then, your order is pulled directly from the shelves, packed in a cardboard box to prevent bending during transit, and quickly on its way to you with free shipping. For every purchase online with Dynamic Discs, you'll receive rewards points so you can save on your next order. We'll work with you to make sure you get the exact disc you're looking for. For anything from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, head to dynamicdiscs.com.
We're looking at Greg Barsby in the fairway here on hole 8. He's standing just next to the tree that, let's say, crushes a lot of competitors' dreams by kicking either left or right. He is still in the fairway, but he's got a long shot up at this basket. I'd say the effective distance of this shot is upwards of 400 feet. And it's got a hold turned to the right the entire way. Greg doesn't care much about effective distance as he just mashed this drive up the hill. He's going to be either around circle 1's edge or a little bit inside circle 2, looking at a putt for birdie 3. Let me reiterate, incredible shot and 3 incredible drives to go along with it.
As Nico sets up, I want to certainly recognize, although we went what we consider relatively early this morning to bring you the FPO coverage, it was certainly noted that there are plenty of international spectators and viewers that come up to us from across the pond, and thank you to everyone that has tuned in and been enjoying the action.
Nico trusts the flex again, and he hasn't quite hit the gap straight to the basket, but he has covered most of the distance. He'll probably be around circle 2, looking for a shot at his birdie 3.
And I'm not sure if his footing was quite on point. Seemed like he may have slipped as he was going slightly uphill. And either way, he's caught a tree and did not get all the way to the pin. He's going to have an up and down from there. He's likely walking away with a par.
I think if we plotted where all of the drives landed on hole 8, this would probably be the best of the bunch. This is absolutely pured by Ulibarri. Set him up for his go-to forehand for an approach to the basket. The initial angle is perfect, and that's fading in. Just a late tree for Ulibarri.
Taking another look at the scores, Barsby still out in front at 32 under par. Paul Ulibarri at 30. Conrad continues to push forward, 6 under through the first 10 holes of the round. Josh Anthon falling off the pace slightly as he's just 2 down through 7. as he's tied with Matt Orm and Paul McBeth. McBeth is 4 down through 10. I believe Paul McBeth was 3 down through the first 3 holes and then took back-to-back bogeys. So he is starting to recover from there. But Paul McBeth trying to make his charge as well before we get to the final day tomorrow. And speaking of Paul McBeth, quickly, I want to thank Hannah McBeth for joining us for the FPO commentary over the last 2 days. She'll be again joining me in tomorrow morning for round number 5 as we complete our World Championships.
See Josh Anthon approaching the basket within 15 feet. Ulibarri with a half bid from approximately 80 to 100 feet. He's settled 20 or 25 past the basket.
And it's just really too bad that Paul Ulibarri, unlike the last hole, where he had the best drive of the group, set himself up for a really good look at birdie, he wasn't able to get up and down, and at best he's going to be taken apart here.
I think that just speaks to how difficult this hole is. It requires 2 nearly perfect shots to give yourself a look at this birdie 3.
Nicola Castro marking his lie, getting ready to go as he's eyeing this one up. I think back to this morning's round or the final few holes where we saw the flags just whipping around on holes 16, 17, and 18. And I had mentioned at that point, well, we're going into the woods for the afternoon. So even if it remains somewhat cool and windy, it's probably not going to take as much notice out here on this course. And you see that flag on top of hole 8 here, not moving at all.
Castro's bid is high and off the band on the left side. He'll be taking a par. These competitors who are up near the basket putting for birdie 3, I know missing birdie putts never feels good, but as I said earlier, and I will reiterate, 4 is a good score on this hole. Barsby's putt just lips out on the left side, a couple of inches higher, and that's likely in the basket. He'll have to settle for 4 as well.
Yuli with a confident stroke.
This will be a star par on hole 8.
We're done with the hardest hole on the course. What are we going to see on 9, Robert?
Well, following the hardest hole on the course, we move over to hole 9, the 4th most difficult hole on the course. This is also a new hole, par 3, playing at 370 feet. The goal on this hole is to just throw it straight down the middle. You don't want to be early left because that's jail. You don't want to be early right because, hey, guess what? That's also jail. The play is something that will either stand up to flat or that you can flex over to the right that will finish to the left. If the narrow fairway wasn't enough difficulty for you, once you reach the basket, the green runs away behind the basket so that any shot coming in a little too fast or a little too high will run away, likely outside circle 1. This is far from a must-get hole. It certainly feels like a bonus birdie as we've got only 15% of our field taking birdie today, 34 players. half of our field, 49% taking par here today.
It's been pretty exciting as we take a look at the scores overall. Thank you for the insightful hole previews. But we look at the score, Greg Barsby, everyone stays the same. He's at 32 under. Yuli stays at 30, so on and so forth. I want to scroll down just a little bit further and see that Nate Perkins is now 7 under through 12 holes. So he continues to play very well. He has no blemishes, so to speak, on his scorecard. Seppu, who had 3 under in the first 4, took 4 pars in a row, but then picked up a few more birdies. So now he moves into 27 under. I look a little bit further down. Lewis Bitney has moved up 9 positions because he is 6 under through 15 holes and only has a single bogey on his scorecard. Nate Sexton also shooting pretty well. He's got 6 birdies, no bogeys. He is 6 under through 15. So great to see. And a quick shout out. It might be Ilka.
Ilka Niemi.
Yes, exactly, with an ace on hole number 14. Just as we saw 2 days ago, Yale Story had aced hole number 14. So a few of our, I'm guessing they're both international players. Is that a fair assessment?
I'm pretty sure those are both Finnish players. That's correct. And Ilka moving up 20 spots with an 8 under par 53 today. So congrats to you.
Just get more aces, bro.
Yeah, it's easy. I don't know if you heard, but the game's a lot easier if you throw it in on the first one.
Yeah, that makes it so much easier. And it also saves some time. So I don't know if you're into doing that, but if you want to save any
fewer
time.
Backups, better for everybody.
Just keeps things moving. And as Matt Oram, 5 under through 11 holes, also with a perfectly clean scorecard. So right now we're looking at 32 under being our best. And I'll go all the way down to say 10th place sits at 24 under, or 9th place at 25 under. So 7 strokes separating the top 10 players. This is far from over, and it's incredibly competitive.
Yeah, and we go back to Fox Run tomorrow, and it seems as if that's the course that has more scoring separation than Brewster Ridge. That's kind of surprising to me. I had assumed Brewster would have a little bit more separation because the woods can be so thick, but with Fox Run, especially today, we saw the wind was picking up while the ladies were playing, and that OB can just grate on you. If you find OB once, it gets in your head. If you find it again and again and again, it can tear down your score. And even if everyone's struggling, it feels like you're struggling more than most. So I love Fox Run. I think it's a fantastic championship level course, and I can't wait to see how this shakes out tomorrow.
Barsby, left side. I almost looked like he had peered the initial gap, but came in a little bit tight on that left side. Castro lining up his shot. Would you say there's anyone else in our game that throws more flex shots than Nico LaCastro?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I've been actually playing some with AJ Risley lately, and he throws a lot of force flexes, starting something on a gentle anhyzer and just jamming it really hard so that it goes straight before finishing to the left. I'd say those two are the ones that stand out as throwing the most flexes on tour, yeah. And Nico showing that flex is an effective play here, landing just outside circle 1.
I think when you go into a course and have a situation just like this hole, it's great that he has that tool and he is so comfortable throwing it, and there's no one more proficient at it than him.
You're exactly right. Anthon's disc moving a little bit left, getting a little extra skip on the left side. We'll have to see where that ends up.
Let's check in with a supporter of our broadcast. Looks like Yuli's got a little bit of trouble here, or maybe a lot of trouble. And while he's doing that, I quickly wanted to take a look at what I thought was one of the more surprising numbers that I saw out here today. And that was that Barry Schultz has now carded a birdie on hole 1 and then 11 straight pars.
On most courses, that's not very good, but out here, that's honestly not too bad.
11 straight pars by Barry Schultz out here. And Yuli finds himself, that's a good look at the basket from where he's at, and maybe even more impressive from where he was.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's like I said, left is jail, and that's a great shot for Ulibarri to even give himself a look around the circle.
A little earlier when I was looking at the scores and I saw that Barry Schultz had 4 or 5 pars in a row, I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. So then to come back to that thought, obviously a little later, and to see, actually, no, he has 11 pars is even more incredible. Here's what's interesting about that. He has 11 pars. He's only lost 2 positions here during this round.
Yeah.
So as you just said, par's not exactly terrible. Kale Leviska sitting tied with Barry Schultz, who's also lost, he's lost 2 positions because Kale Leviska is also just 1 down for the round.
And the top competitors want to finish in the high single digits or low double digits out here under par. But for anyone who's not a world-class disc golfer, par is such a great score on almost every hole at Brewster Ridge.
James Conrad just cards the par on hole 12. He is at 30 under and has now crept up 4 spots into a tie for second with Paul Ulibarri. And meanwhile, Paul Ulibarri has a little bit of work left to do to just save his par here. So James Conrad making a push, really no surprise. Paul McBeth is also in for birdie on 12, and McBeth at 29 under par.
Good touch from Greg Barsby there, approaching the basket. As I said, the green does slope away from the player if they are short of the basket. So landing short and sliding up is definitely a worthwhile consideration for our competitors. This is a scary putt for Ulibarri with a runaway green behind. And he's just missed to the left side. Looks as if he's going to have to settle for bogey here. Only his second of the round. That will likely take him back to 2 under par for the round.
I speak of it often when you're talking about a sloped green or hillside. Fully committed is what you need to be here. I think this is a great run for Nico Locascio to go at this and try and make this putt. You just have to be fully committed to exactly that. We're still here on 9.
Nico's certainly deliberate with his putting motion there, but it just looked like he didn't quite reach for the basket like he has on other putts. A lot of times we see competitors, when they miss to the left side, the common misconception is that they didn't follow through quite enough. But I see putts miss on the right side a lot of the same way because the competitor kind of lets the disc go early and then just doesn't allow their arm to get to fully extended before letting the disc go. And so not surprising to see that one miss to the right from not a very committed stroke by Nico.
Oh, yeah. And Josh Anthon's going to pick up the birdie. And Paul Ulibarri. Very short comeback distance. I fully expect him to make this, but he is going to be dropping at least a stroke here. And just like that, Paul Ulibarri is now going to move into a tie for third place. James Conrad has jumped all the way up into second place from the chase card, as Conrad's at 30 under par. That's just one ahead of Josh Anthon and Paul Ulibarri.
And that caps a fantastic scramble by Greg Barsby with a forehand turnover to save his par. Well done by him. We're moving on to hole 10 briefly after Nico taps out here.
I like to see the smile, though.
Yeah, not too downtrodden after missing one just outside the circle, but a little bit of round trotting around the basket. Hole 10 is one of my new favorite holes on the course. It was one of my favorites last year, and then they brought it back 60 feet. I believe this is actually playing 470 feet this year. Last year was 410 feet. So it's gone from either a putter or a mid-range for most of the MPO field to more than likely a really well-thrown mid-range or a fairway driver. This is playing as the 7th most difficult hole on the course at 3.18 for the scoring average. The players just want to throw something, sometimes on a little bit of hyzer that stands up to flat to get all the way down to the basket, or even something that they force over on the left side that'll flex down by the basket. This is not a bonus birdie, but it's one that you can't really count on. You have to throw a well-executed tee shot to give yourself a look at the birdie too.
Well, and a little bit earlier when we talked about holes 8 and 9 being completely redesigned, I then jump ahead to this hole, hole number 10. Steve Brinster, and talking to him about the course changes and the design elements from here as well as over at the Meadows course. He said, we were talking to Jeff, and Jeff really wanted to back up the tee on hole number 10. And Steve himself said, I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm not sure that I want to see that tee. And ultimately, it looks like Jeff came out on top with that decision as it was backed up, because I believe someone had said, well, it's in a new position. And Steve was like, okay, so that's how it was ultimately decided. So we are seeing this as a totally different teeing area, and that's why you had said 410 versus where it's really at the moment.
Anthon has played the hyzer flip that stood up to flat, but just didn't quite ride flat for long enough. That's going to finish on the left side of the basket, and it's likely he'll have a bit of a low ceiling on that side. He'll be right around circle 2's edge. Barsby's line is good, but just low, and that's going to end up around circle 2's edge. That feels like a missed opportunity, throwing the disc on a great line, just not getting the height quite right.
And I know this is almost crazy to say, but this is one of the most open holes that we'll find out here on this course. So you're seeing the tunnel that they're throwing out of to that apple orchard atmosphere, but this is one of the most open holes. And was that a little redirect by Nico?
I think it's just something that was standing up along the trees really slowly. And just like Anthon's we saw, it didn't quite get up to flat and was moving left almost all the way down. Ulibarri meets a similar fate to LaCastro and Anthon, leaving his drive just a bit left.
Here's a
The season is over, and it is time to order your 2019 Pro Tour trading cards. Top 50 MPO, top 15 FPO, plus our limited release specialty cards. Pre-orders are guaranteed at least one limited release specialty card in each pack or deck.
We're back on hole 10, pardon me, with Paul Ulibarri.
Hole Paul, wow.
Hole Paul.
If he puts this in, we will
usually plays this
rename
hole
it.
so well that we've renamed the hole. No, this is hole 10 with Paul Ulibarri. And unfortunately, jokes aside, he hasn't put himself in a great position here. It looks like he's eyeing up a forehand roller just to get down to the basket. This is moving left toward the basket, but it's got too much speed, and that is headed for rock wall behind the basket. That should still be in bounds, but it won't be an easy putt for par. Checking in quickly on the second card, we see that James Conrad is still 7 under par, 2 shots off of Greg Barsby's pace. He's sitting alone in second place behind Barsby, 1 shot ahead of Anthon, Ulibarri, and Macbeth, all tied for third place at 29 under par. Barsby's approach is a bit to the right, finishing left toward the basket. That should leave him a relatively simple putt for his par. Looking at the scoreboard, we also see that Matt Oram, has slowed down his blistering start just a bit, birdieing 5 of the first 6, but then parring the next 6 in a row. He sits at 5 under par, 28 under par on the week, 4 back of the lead. Also with a clean sheet right now is Seppo Payu, 5 under par through 12 holes as well. He sits at 27 under par in a tie for 7th place. Nate Perkins continuing to play well as well. He sits 8 under par on the round, birdieing 6 of the first 8 holes, slowing down a bit, but collecting birdies on holes 13 and 15. Pardon me, 12 and 14. Anthon's approach hits a tree, but he is still inside the circle. Should be easy work for him. And this is another hole where it's surprising to see our top competitors not quite reaching circle 1 on their drives. Nico will be last to putt from the drives, and he's outside circle 2 with a low ceiling. Nico's putt just never quite had the height because of that ceiling. It's gone a little bit past the wood chips, but still fairly close to the basket.
We are nearing or have actually crossed the halfway point of this round, which means we are looking at less than 27 holes before our world champion is crowned. And the competition is as stiff as ever. I know we keep talking about what we're going to see out at the Fox Run course tomorrow and where the scoring may take us there. Obviously, plenty of golf to be played here on the back nine of the Brewster Ridge course. Very exciting. We hope that you're tuned in and watching and sharing the link, and let everyone know you're watching the live disc golf taking place. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning for the conclusion of the FPO division and crowning our world champion there, and then also tomorrow afternoon as we move over to the Fox Run Meadows course.
Barsby is in for his par. Nico will be next to putt from a similar distance, no farther than 15 feet. He's in, and Ulibarri will have to settle for bogey here on hole 10.
Nico's getting down. What are we going to see on hole 11?
Hole 11 is the 10th most difficult hole on the course, scoring average of 4.08. This drive is extremely important to your success on this hole. This is a fairway that moves subtly to the right off of the tee. It actually doesn't move it quite as far right as it feels on the tee, which baits competitors into either overturning their disc or trying to hyzer flip something really to move it to the right and leaving their disc too straight. If you do land in the fairway, you open up a straight shot at this downhill basket. We, as we do on most holes out here, have a runaway green behind the basket and some guardian trees right in front. This is not, as I said, this is not the most difficult hole on the course, but if competitors find themselves just a bit off the fairway, they can be in trouble and make par almost impossible finding an early tree on the right or left side.
Well, we've seen so many of the holes kind of slowly build up to get all the way up to where hole 10 was. And then for the next 6, 8 holes or so,
Pretty
we
much
kind
downhill
of
all the way,
come all the way back downhill. So it's subtle, and you're not necessarily thinking about it until all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, all of these next shots are really playing downhill. And it's a great way to finish out the round out here at Brewster Ridge. Thank you again for tuning in, for joining us, Robert McCall and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. A quick shout out to our cameraman, Rick and Chad. It's, of course, one thing to go out and film 2 rounds of disc golf, and I'm not pitting post-production versus live. However, when you have to be that much more mentally acute during the live round because every movement you make could be shown to the world, it's just incredibly taxing and challenging. So kudos to Jomez, who are, of course, out there getting 2 rounds of post-production. And I have to say thanks to our cameramen who are out there getting 2 rounds of live production today. It's just a tremendous effort, and we appreciate everyone's support in doing so. Johnny V back at the studio in Milwaukee, along with Gary to the O. Looking forward to a great day tomorrow as we round out our World Championships experience. Here's Josh Anthon. Needing a little turn or no?
I believe this is a leopard for Anthon, and that is picture perfect. As I said, the fairway moves to the right, but it's not quite as much as you think off the tee. It looks like it's a very, very sharp right. And in all actuality, if the disc just continually moves to the right, you should be good to go. This is honestly the shortest 615-foot hole I've ever played, because I think any of our competitors, if they hit a fairway driver right, could filter down to circle 2. It's just about getting that angle right. Second on the tee is Greg Barsby, and he's thrown a beautiful shape. This is airing the landing zone. Just as I spoke about with that circle 2, he's put his disc near the green. It's difficult to tell where that landed, but that's a beautiful tee shot by Barsby. Wow, that's an incredible shot by Greg Barsby.
Anytime you need our catch cameraman to look up and have it go 100 or more feet over his head, you have definitely thrown the hole very efficiently.
Nico's drive is early to the right.
He got a very fortunate kick as he moved right back out into the fairway. Had that kicked right or left, he was easily going to expend an extra stroke or two just to get back out. So although a very unfortunate throw, it was not as bad as the result as it could have been.
Last on the tee is Ulibarri, also tight to the right side, but it's held straight long enough to miss those early trees. Unfortunately, he's gotten a punishing kick to the left.
Here's a word from our sponsor.
My name's Cody Britton, and it's a hot one out here, which is perfect because we're going to be talking about the heat. One of the great things about the heat is it gives any skill level player the ability to get it up to speed, to get tremendous amounts of glide. The rim fits well in anyone's hand. So one of the things that I love about this disc is how easily I can throw a consistent Anheuser. You can even use it to throw manicured shots through the woods. It's just an all-around phenomenal disc. Check out the heat for yourself today. You can pick one up at discraft.com or your local retailer.
And just in time to get back to Nico LaCastro trying to bust out a backhand roller.
And that's Greg Barsby's disc that we're looking at on screen. Sirius Scorpius, and you see the white flags there. That means that Barsby is just outside circle one, putting for an eagle too. As I said, the distance isn't what's so difficult on this hole. It's really the line and making sure that it holds turn all the way. But that's
an incredible
that's
drive.
A drive and a half. That's one in your dreams that you don't even hit.
Well, and earlier when I was checking out UDisc on udisclive.com, of course, I saw someone was putting for eagle, or maybe it was even in our chat that someone had said so-and-so was putting for eagle, and I think it was on that hole. And that's, like you said, that may be a once in a lifetime
ridiculous
kind of a drive. So the fact that he is anywhere near the circle's edge is a feat in itself. Some players would be like, oh, I'll just throw it underneath the basket. I'll still just walk away with the three, because you're more than content with the three here. To even think about an eagle here on hole number 11 is just incredible.
And after that punishing kick, here's Ulibarri, likely lining up a forehand that turns early in its flight and then flexes back to the right. That's a shape that should suit his eye, as he's very proficient with a forehand. And it looks like he's ended up either attempting a flex or playing a roller, but he's caught a tree. He'll still have some work left for his par. To bring you up to speed on the second card, we've got a charging James Conrad, who is sitting 8 under par on the day, 31 under par on the week. Only one shot back of Greg Barsby as it stands right now. He just made a putt on hole 13 for birdie, 92-footer.
Oh, okay, no big deal.
Let's just call it circle 3. That's incredible.
James Conrad just one stroke off the lead as we speak. However, that's going to change because Greg Barsby is lining up at least a birdie, if not the eagle, here on hole 11. Here's Josh Anthon with a standstill approach shot, throwing a putter, I would assume.
And that's beautiful touch. That's going to put him inside the circle for his look at a birdie 3.
And one of Josh's closest friends, Derek Billings, out there on the chat. We appreciate your super chat, D-Bill. We're missing you here at Worlds, but thank you for tuning in and watching the action.
Ulibarri with great touch on his forehand to get inside the Guardian trees. That'll put him around circle 1's edge. I like this terminology that we see on the chat board, the outside 90-foot circle. Just as effective as circle 10-foot.
It certainly is.
If not more.
Yeah. We should just rewrite all of the UDisc naming.
Mm-hmm. Matt and Josh, if you need some suggestions, we're here for you.
Yes, our chat board is always ready to go.
Also, big shout to Matt and Josh of UDisc. The statistics and the technology that they've brought to disc golf, in my opinion, has revolutionized the way that we can take in tournament golf.
A great approach shot by Nico LaCastro.
That's going to set him up to take a par here on hole 11. But let's get down to the drive that everybody wants to see. Walk up to Greg Barsby's drive. Incredible tee shot. So now that we're here, it looks like this is going to be about 40 or 45 feet back up toward the basket for his look at an eagle 2 here on hole 11. If you haven't played this course before, like I said, yes, 615 feet. Effective distance is probably more like 480 or so. But Greg has covered all of it to give himself this eagle opportunity.
Yeah, and certainly, as you guys can see, it's not so much about the actual distance, effective distance, or literal distance. It's been all about the exact angle. And to be looking at pin high.
Yeah, that's near perfection.
It is. Let's see if Barsby can cash it in.
And that's just over the basket. Wow, maybe a bit past. I think Greg wanted that birdie just a bit, or pardon me, that eagle. Yeah. I don't blame him. If I land in that spot and I have an opportunity for 2, I'm certainly not leaving it short.
Wow, and Barsby, though, goes quite a bit over the basket. He's actually left with a tester. You would hate to see him squander that and only walk away with a par here. Here's Yuli.
Ulibarri's patented step putt comes through for him again as he is able to save his par after a tough kick and then not a great second shot.
This is Anton for birdie. Oh, he thought it was high as he watched that one hit the upper half of the basket, or upper actually 10th of the basket in the chains, and that someone somehow just scooted down on the Discraft Chainstar Pro.
I will say, if you haven't played on Discraft Chainstar Pros before, that if you hit them in the middle, for the most part, they do a good job of catching. Even if they're a bit high, a lot of baskets will kick those back out. These do a pretty good job of catching those high putts a little bit better. I'd say they're slightly less forgiving on the sides, but anything in the middle is usually pretty good.
There it is. Well,
Barsby converts on the birdie, and we're happy to see that because you'd hate to see that drive net a par. 560 feet in one shot, 3 shots to cover the remaining 45.
Yeah, I would unfortunately call that an epic fail, but he takes the birdie. Let's see what hole 12 brings us.
Hole 12 is the 11th most difficult hole in the course with a scoring average of 3.05. So basically right at par. Competitors can throw almost any disc in their bag on the lower speed side and cover this fairway. This plays as 410 feet, but I think the effective distance is probably closer to 330 or 340. The most important thing for our competitors is angle here. As long as you're not headed for the woods left or right, you need your disc to be holding straight until you see the tree on the right side of the screen. Now you want to be moving left just in front of that tree. That's going to put you on the green and give you a look at the birdie 2 here. Anything left is trouble, anything right is trouble. As long as it's penetrating forward, you can get a look at a birdie 2.
Moment ago, it looks like I saw Joe Chargaloff, our PDGA executive director, out there taking in the action as we're looking at Greg Barsby's 33 under par and he has the outright lead here at the World Championships. He has a 2-stroke advantage over James Conrad, not featured right now in our lower ticker, but then Josh Anthon sitting in a tie for third, along with Paul Macbeth right now. So Paul Macbeth has picked it up on the back half. He is now 6 under through 14. He has birdied the last 5 out of 9 holes and is performing very well. Seppo Payo also performing very well. Seppo is 7 under through 14 holes. So Macbeth 6 under, Seppo at 7 under each through this round.
And this is a great initial line for Anthon, but that continues moving to the right. That's going to give him a putt, but he really wanted that to move left. The moment that it broke right, had it broken left, he would be underneath the basket right now. Barsby's got a beautiful flight on this. He needs to miss that tree, and he has. That's flared a bit to the left, but he'll still have an opportunity for birdie, probably outside the circle.
He throws up his hands. He's not entirely sure. And one thing that we have to start talking about, clearly no bearing on this lead card, but a consideration out there is we'll take a look at the cut line that takes place over on udisclive.com. As some players will be cut moving into our 5th and final round. Here's a great looking shot by Castro. Can it skip up and in? Inside the circle.
Not bad at all. That's certainly an acceptable result. This hole is no gimme birdie, but a good one to get some momentum going for this last stretch of holes, all of which are pretty birdieable. Ulibarri pushes out a hyzer to the right that stood up to flat and is now moving back to the left. I love this shape for this hole. He's aired it onto the green inside the circle, just past the basket.
Don't pass on these supporters, though.
Let Dynamic Discs help distinguish the winners at your next event. We've got many options, from a mini disc to a full-size disc, and we can do custom wrapped baskets from the micro recruit all the way up to a veteran. We can help design your trophies, and we have discounted prices on larger orders. Our designs feature sharp graphics and vibrant colors. We have what it takes to set your event's winners apart, from their bags to their backyards. Learn all the ways we can help at dynamicdiscs.com.
Welcome back. We've got Josh Anthon putting here on hole number 12. Looks just outside the circle. Oh.
And that's just low. You can tell Anthon wanted that one. Doesn't show much emotion out there on the course, but kind of pounded his hand into his, pounded his fist into his palm. Just needed to get that up, maybe 2 more inches to make that.
As Barsby gets into position. I think we've noticed James Conrad shows on UDisc that he is putting for bogey from circle 1 on hole number 15.
15 is the hole that plays with the island that you have to cross into, and so it's likely that James missed the island on his drive. Put it in circle 1 from the drop zone. Barsby's birdie bid is up and in. That's going to move him to 6 under on the day. 3-shot lead over James Conrad, which is about to be a 4-shot lead after Conrad putts out for his bogey. Barsby 4 clear of the field as it stands right now. And Nico leaves his putt short on hole 12. Clearly displeased with his effort there, and he's going to walk off and take a moment to collect himself. Ulibarri is in for birdie. It's going to move him to 29 under par for the week. Anton and LeCastro left to tap in their pars as we move over to hole 13. Nico's going to take a moment to reflect on his play so far.
I thought it was just good lighting for maybe a senior picture pose.
Hole 13 is 520 feet, is the 7th most difficult hole on the course with a scoring average of 4.18. It's playing 0.18 strokes over par. This tee shot requires something that ends to the right side, and so you really want to beat the trees that the drone is right next to, beat those just to the left, and finish about on this gravel path. Once you've done that, you're shooting into this tunnel. Really, you can reach that landing zone a couple of ways. Right-hand backhand turnover is probably the more technical, or just a right-hand forehand that turns the corner and skips right. This one is a gettable birdie, but you can obviously get in trouble if you don't quite make that corner. We've got 15% of the MPO field carding birdies today, 57% taking pars, and then 28% taking bogey or worse. Barsby's forehand looks a bit low, but it's skipped around the corner. It's actually moved a little bit to the right. He may be a bit obscured to the tunnel, but the initial part of the drive was good enough to get him past the corner. I'm surprised to see Ulibarri take backhand here again. This has to be an extremely understable disc.
Yeah, playing that hyzer flip up, and it looks like it's working for him. But some stability at the end, and that's going to push hard into that left side. He's going to expend at least a stroke just to get out of there and hopefully find himself in a good position to get up and down and save the par. He is not taking a birdie from that position, though. Here's Josh Anton with his fairway driver, I believe a CE Leopard. And Nico LeCastro lining up the flex forehand. And if he can put this out there with a good move on it and gets the right angle, I really like this play.
And that's too much angle out of the gate. He's gotten lucky around the first set of the trees on the left, but punched into the left side of the rough.
Let's punch in with one of these sponsors.
Having trouble finding the discs you're looking for? Disc Golf Center has you covered. Your premier online retailer of disc golf discs and accessories features a live inventory of over 20,000 discs with the exact weight and color you're looking for. Take advantage of our free shipping within the U.S. on all orders over $12 and our customer rewards program. Visit discgolfcenter.com, the world's largest disc golf store.
And LeCastro on the left side. And unlike Ulibarri, I'll say I think he's fortunate to have at least this much of a look. Ulibarri, I think, is in much bigger trouble on that left side.
I agree
with you from LeCastro.
I agree with you. I think Ulibarri will likely just have to pitch back to the fairway so that he can have a look at a par.
We'll see what kind of look LeCastro ultimately has here. Now it looks like he's going to take somewhat of a run up.
This is a beautiful shape, moving a bit to the right.
Again, not necessarily a terrible kick, though.
No, he's found the mouth. He'll be pitching up a pretty easy putter from there to save his par.
Well, as we're seeing a few of the challenges that are taking place out there on hole number 13, Greg Barsby, looking at him at 34 under par, completely clean card today. We have to start talking about, with just the remainder of this round, the last 6 or so holes, plus, of course, the 18 tomorrow, Greg Barsby, world champion. I mean, that's something that has to be said right now and is in serious consideration at the moment. He's a longtime player. He's been around. He's grinded hard. He has toured and been one of the most well-liked pros in our game. Is this really his time?
It certainly could be, and he's playing like he believes that it is. He's been an elite player for, 15 years maybe? Maybe longer than that? He's got the complete skill set. Great backhand, obviously a great forehand. And this week his putter is on, and he's been good inside the circle. He's been clutch outside the circle, throwing in some big circle 2 putts. And so he's playing like he believes that he can win it.
Greg Barsby has been a member of the PDGA since 1999. It shows him as a current rating of 1020, 378 career events with 63 career wins. And he's, like I said, he's been a road warrior. He's been out there. He's been playing full time. He's taken a little bit of time off throughout the years. I've seen a lot of different iterations of Greg Barsby throughout the years, and always charismatic. He plays drums probably better than any of our other PDGA members, and has always a funny story to tell. And doesn't mind performing in front of a crowd, on or off the course.
Agreed. A great personality. We actually got to spend some time with him over in Finland when we went over for the Toonie. And Greg's just a great guy. And you can tell that, just like you said, you've seen plenty of different iterations of Greg this year. This is a really focused Greg Barsby, someone who's been working hard, and you can see the results of that right now as he's put himself probably inside circle 1 for a look at birdie.
And speaking of birdies, James Conrad has now followed up his bogey on 15 with a birdie on 16. So James Conrad moves to 31 under par and finds himself momentarily 3 strokes behind Greg Barsby and in sole possession of second place.
And at the same time, we see Paul McBeth taking a bogey 4 there on hole 16. That's going to drop him back into a tie for 4th place with Paul Ulibarri. 29 under par on the week, 5 off of the leader's pace. We also see Matty O carding a 2 on hole 16 as well. That's going to move him up to that tie for 4th place, along with Macbeth, Ulibarri, and Nate Perkins, who's just finished his round at a blistering 11 under par, a round of 50. That is far and away the best round we've seen today. So congrats to Nate Perkins. I talked to him a little bit yesterday, and he's been playing well, but he was ready to go light it up today, and he has absolutely crushed this course to the tune of 11 under par, bogey free.
Congratulations, Nate Perkins. As you mentioned, he's currently in a tie for 4th, along with Matt Oram, Paul Ulibarri, and Paul Macbeth. Here's Nico for his 3rd shot. Relatively unobstructed. He really just needs to put this right on the wood chips and right next to the basket. I don't think he needs to try anything heroic here. And he switches it up and goes with the forehand shot, which
it's ended up okay. A little bit of a miss to the left, but he's kicked down inside the circle. We've got a couple of other notable finishers today. Andrew Presnell has moved up a couple of spots. He's in solo 8th place right now with a round of 7 under par 54. Cale LaVisca's just completed his round of 56. That's going to be 5 under par. Some big movers on the day. Lewis Bitney and Nate Sexton both carding 7 under par 54s today. Eagle McMahon carding a 8 under par 53. That moves him up 11 spots into a tie for 18th place.
And just to speak about Nate Perkins, 11 under today, Eagle McMahon, I believe, walked off the course the other day shooting 3 under here at Brewster Ridge. Today he follows that with an 8 under par. So if you do some quick math, that 3 under plus 8 under equals 11 under, and that is exactly what Perkins shot himself today.
Perkins and I were talking about the Brewster Ridge course before we got out here, and he was telling me that he had just shot a 50, which at the time was the course record, and that he felt like that was pretty repeatable. It wasn't much luck. He was just hitting lines and making putts, and it's obvious that that's held true today. So beautifully done.
Rinse and repeat for sure. Here's Nico, who ultimately walks away with a very eventful par.
Yeah, eventful par is right.
A little bit of everything there by LeCastro. The forehand drive, the ultimately a forehand approach, actually, and another forehand approach, and then a nice putt.
Barsby, a natural straddle putter, does have a couple of trees between himself and the basket, but he is going to be more comfortable in this stance than most of our competitors, as this is his typical putting style. And Barsby's putt is just high and off the band. He'll settle for par here, and his lead will remain at three throws over his nearest competitor, James Conrad, and now Josh Anthon, who is going just walk up and card the birdie. Easy little birdie.
You have to be entertained by all of this drama. Great golf taking place everywhere. This is still anybody's game. Greg Barsby flips in, and we're going to move over to hole 14. What do we've got?
Well, now that we've reached this point in the course, hole 14 is actually playing as the easiest hole on the course. The scoring average is 2.62, and our competitors are just most of them are going to take this right side gap, something stable to overstable, thrown flat and high, and just let it finish left toward the basket. The big things that you need to miss, obviously, are the trees in the middle of the fairway. You can't pull it too early to the right, and then there are a couple of stumps that would stop discs from skipping up. So you really want to carry most of the distance in the air, and then just kind of have the disc land softly or move just a little bit to the left. If you throw something a little too low, I've seen discs hit those stumps and roll quite a ways back down the hill.
We've also seen 2 aces take place out here this weekend, as we discussed a little bit earlier here on hole number 14.
Josh Anthon on the tee. Certainly thrown something overstable. Working to move its way back to the left, but caught one of those stumps or maybe roots that we were talking about. It's going to be outside circle 1, looking at a birdie 2. Barsby's drive is pushing right as well. A little bit more left finish than Anthon's. That will be inside the circle.
I think Yuli's going to go with something very overstable. I saw this him throwing this in Nantucket last weekend. He's going to turn this over to the right and then let it fall back, and that's exactly what he's doing. We'll see if he gets a good skip out of it.
Oh, and he definitely does.
Oh,
I believe that's an old X1 from Ulibarri. When we played together at Nantucket, he threw that in my face a couple of times.
He certainly did. Shout out to a great performance by yourself over in Nantucket, too, by the way.
That was fun.
Lots of fun. Todd and Louisa, we love you guys. Great weekend in Nantucket. Here's Castro.
I'd like to think my performance was better really as a caddy than as a disc golfer.
Let's go. Here's a word from our sponsor. Now here's Josh Anthon, and this is an interesting moment because Josh Anthon does not lay up usually.
He's never even heard of those words together.
Well, here he is. He's looking at this putt. This goes straight downhill directly behind the basket. Looks like he is lining it up as if he's going to be aggressive with it. I fully trust that he is. I think we're in for a wild ride if Josh Anthon cashes this putt. Oh, yes.
Bangarang Peter. Josh Anthon has no fear. Drops it in the basket with a runaway green behind. I love watching him putt. It's so much fun. It's as if he doesn't care if he's going to miss. And that's what makes him a great putter.
That and the fact that he rarely does miss.
That's true.
Coupling it with that, some players may not care.
You're exactly right.
But they have more work to do. Josh Anthon says, "I'll just go retrieve that. Thank you."
There are plenty of fearless putters who are bad. I guess you're right. Barsby's foot is on the gas. He keeps pressing and collects another birdie. It's going to keep him three shots out in front of Josh Anthon with just 4 holes remaining in this round. Ulibarri with a solid putting stroke is in for his 2. Nico will tap out here on hole 14. Moving to hole 15, this hole is playing as the 3rd most difficult hole on the course. You see the rock wall that the drone is going to fly over shortly. That forms an island that players must land on from their drive in order to proceed to the island. Any discs that do not land on the island move to the drop zone, which is the tee box that we just passed. That's a guaranteed 4 from there. Basically no chance to get into the basket, barring a throw-in of some type. Our players are going to throw likely either a fairway drive or a mid-range, whatever they feel most confident in throwing straight and hitting a gap. The play to get to the basket is to push the trees on the back right side and to filter down to the left. Very few park jobs on this hole. We do have some players carding birdie here. 17% of the field is 37 players. 44% taking par, but we see an abnormally high bogey rate here. 39% of the field is playing over par. 59 players taking bogey, 23 taking double, and then the dreaded dark orange. 4 players triple bogey or worse here.
Yeesh. Not sure we want to talk about that, but Greg Barsby is still your leader. 3-stroke advantage. Here's Josh Anthon throwing his tee shot. Looks to be clean. I think that kick actually helped him.
He likely would have landed safe either way, but that does put him in a better spot, more advantageous for an upshot.
James Conrad is through 17 holes, sits 9 under on the round.
This is a huge shot for Barsby. He must put this in bounds to maintain his lead. And that's pulled right.
Oh my.
That has hit a tree, kicked down left, and he will be out of bounds. That's a 4 at best for Barsby here on hole 15. Ulibarri's drive looks good, assuming that it doesn't kick to the left. He's penetrated all the way through and has absolutely parked this hole 10 to 15 feet away. We'll call that parked here. That is a fantastic shot by Ulibarri, who is making his case to stay on the lead card tomorrow.
Nico's going straight up the middle. We'll see if that got a little bit of a redirection toward the basket. We're going to come to Greg Barsby from the drop zone after a quick word from this sponsor. Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall. And Robert, we're just kind of sitting here on the edge of our seat as we're watching this unfold. We hope that you guys are enjoying it. We hope that you're sharing it with everyone out there. We know we're going to have an exciting final round tomorrow, but let's take a quick look at that leaderboard. Barsby was at 35 under. He'll be there for a few more minutes, but he is going to fall off of that score as he's going to at least take the bogey here. Josh Anthon right there, ready to charge. James Conrad sits at 32 under. Paul Ulibarri all but can count on a birdie here. That's going to at least push him to 31 under. And then right behind them is Matt Oram, Nate Perkins, and Paul McBath.
And that is not a good shot for Barsby. He's in those little short trees right there. And that's an obstructed putt with a low ceiling. That is not where you want to be from the drop zone.
If we are talking worst case scenario for Greg Barsby, or in other words, best case scenario for a Josh Anthon right now, if Josh could somehow take the birdie, which I don't think he's quite in position to do. Nope, he's just lining up and going to take the par. But if Greg Barsby were to somehow not convert on this putt and take the double bogey, Barsby would push down to 33 under par. Josh Anthon would be sitting at 32, Conrad at 32, and Yuli with a birdie could go to 31 under.
That's right. And this world feels so different than the last few because we don't have anyone who seems like they want to take the win right now. I'm sure they want to, but there's not anyone who's distancing themselves from the field. You know, the last couple of years we've seen Wysocki with a several stroke lead going into the last few holes. We've seen some dominant performances from McBeth in the years before. All of those guys want to win and have the capability to win, but they keep making small mistakes that end up costing them strokes. I mean, this is at least a 2-stroke swings for Barsby, possibly even 3 if he doesn't convert this birdie putt.
And Nico's effort is up and over the basket, and that may even kind of dip away from him on this sloped green. You know, you think back to 2008, Nico LaCastro, Dave Felber going head-to-head, Nico leading the World Championships, in fact, throughout half of that tournament. And some would say that Nico could have been the best long-range putter we've ever seen in the game.
He threw him in from everywhere.
It
all the
did
time.
not matter. If you were going to put someone from that 60 to 90-foot range, without a doubt, Nico LaCastro was your top contender to make that putt.
And then that carried him to the win at the 09 USDGC as well.
Exactly that. And not that Nico has lost his step, but you can no longer give him those accolades or that title. You have to look at someone like a Ricky Wysocki, who I think is a little bit more deadly from that range.
Or James Conrad. I mean, beeline straight at the basket every time.
And Yuli left with a pretty obstructed putt.
This is Barsby.
Correction, sorry. Greg Barsby with this very obstructed putt.
And that is a huge conversion from Barsby.
Greg Barsby.
That's a confidence boost after really his first pretty errant tee shot of the day.
Wow. I think Barsby, there would be a storyline that says something about he got up and down.
Oh, man. Didn't get up and down.
Now, Nico has a little bit of a tester, of course, not obstructed at all as he's coming right back at us. Solid putt by Nico.
And Ulibarri with best drive of the bunch.
Arguably one of the best drives all week on this hole.
Probably so. He's going to convert on his birdie and move to 31 under par, tie for fourth place with Matt Oram, who has finished his round of 8 under at 53.
Solid round by Oram. Really brief walk over here to 16, the downhill. How do they need to play this one?
Hole 16 is the middle of the pack hole, 10th most difficult as it sits right now with a 3.05 scoring average. This hole sets up beautifully for a right-hand forehand, something that goes straight or even flexes a little bit to the left before moving back to the right. If you see the two trees in the fairway that kind of form a V, missing to the right side usually gives you a better shot than missing to the left unless you're throwing a very overstable disc. Competitors throwing the forehand want to, like I said, miss either to the left or right. Competitors throwing the backhand certainly want to miss to the right and find this tunnel to the basket. We've got 25% of the field taking birdie here, 50% taking par, and 25 taking bogey or above. That's an extremely well-designed hole for those who say that holes are well-designed because of statistics. And I would agree. I think this is a beautiful golf hole.
As you mentioned, I believe a moment ago, James Conrad in the clubhouse. He currently sits at 33 under par as we're looking at this great shot of the gallery that's out there taking it all in. Conrad 10 under for the round. That's the second hottest round, only to be bested by Nate Perkins 11 under. James actually had the 10 under with 2 bogeys, but finishing strong. 16, 17, and 18, he went birdie, 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 as we saw from Matt Oram, as well as Nate Perkins, and Andrew Presnell, who had a great round as well.
Ulibarri looks as if he's trying to play behind those trees. He's done so well, but hit a tree just past them. That's probably going to be around circle 2's edge, maybe a little inside for his look at a birdie. Anthon 2 shots off the pace after that drop shot from Barsby. This is carrying straight and just needs to miss that tree. And he's found the tree that you want to miss on either side. That's a heartbreak as that disc had potential. Nico playing the flex line as expected. He's filtered all the way down to the green. That's a fantastic tee shot.
It really is.
That'll net him a fairly easy look at a birdie here. something has just struck me that I don't think either of us would have said at the beginning of the week, and that is that as things stand right now, and I think it's basically, well, it's not impossible, but it's highly improbable, we won't have Paul Macbeth or Ricky Wysocki on the lead card at the last round of Worlds this year. That's crazy.
That certainly is, and so is that bounce that Barsby got. That came in, hit the tree on what would have been left center, and it seemed to kick it to the right. Here's a word from Johnny V.
Each day that we're live broadcasting, we're going to be giving away over $500 in prizes. And all you need to do to be eligible is click the Super Chat button right beneath the chat. Every dollar you give to SmashBox TV will give you 1 entry into the drawing. So if you give $60, that's 60 entries. And we've got prizes from Black Ink Discs, Disc Golf Center, Infinite Discs, Keen Shoes, Dynamic Discs, Dude Clothing, Will Shoestrick of Disc Golf Instruction. So join us on SmashBox TV's YouTube channel to be part of the broadcast.
Oh, that needs a drop for Anthon, but a little kick behind the basket on the tree there didn't hurt, so it couldn't possibly get up and get away from him. You'll have a tap in for the par. You're going to see a famous step putt by Paul Ulibarri. Paul's brother out here competing this weekend, Pete Ulibarri.
Ulibarri dropping bombs.
Yes, great putt by Paul.
Paul is certainly still in the discussion if he's not the best step putter in the world. If he's not the best, he's right up there.
A few other contenders you would throw out there, maybe Chris Dickerson, Dave Feldberg would throw his name into that mix.
Mm-hmm. Great deuce from Nico here. And that's going to move Nico to just 1 under par on the round. Not the round that Nico was expecting to have today. Just carding 2 birdies and 1 bogey so far.
Barsby looking to push yet with another birdie here on hole number 16. I think he's got that all day. He does.
And that is absolutely the way to bounce back from a bogey. Just drop in another birdie.
Let's move on to 17. 530 feet, Robert.
17 is one of the easiest holes relative to par on the course. Not very long, relatively open fairway compared to the others. This plays at 3.68 scoring average, so nearly a third of a stroke under par. Players want to beat this corner, moving left, but not extremely left. You don't want to take a huge flare skip out to the left. Once you've beaten the corner, you just need to put your putter. Most players will be throwing a putter onto these wood chips for their approach. This is a relatively easy up and down for our players as long as they find a good spot off the tee. If our players want to get really aggressive, they can bite off a little bit more from the tee by throwing a stand-up hyzer that continues up to flat and just rides subtly to the left. But most people are just going to be playing for the easy 3, beat the corner, and then throw their easy approach.
Looks like the gallery is just trying to get into position. And this is one of the holes where you really need to have, if you're in the gallery, you need to have your head on a swivel, because something's going to come in very high speed. And if they are off by more than a few inches, that could be coming directly at you just off of the fairway. Or if it does go off the fairway and hits a tree, a redirect could also come flying at you very quickly. So certainly make sure you're paying attention out there in the gallery.
After the huge step putt, Ulibarri's angle looks perfect. He's beat the corner and finished on the left side of the fairway, which is really where you want to be. That opens up the easier hyzer approach into the green. That's a perfect spot. Nico opting for more of the flex or straight shot as opposed to the hyzer, but the result is good in the middle of the path. He'll have more of a straight approach. Barsby's drive is early left. That's going to give him some difficulty to get his birdie.
Yeah, it traveled a long way before finally getting caught up on that left-hand side, which makes me think he'll have an easy pitch out. He might be able to find some kind of trickery to get up to the basket. But here comes Josh Anthon right at our cameraman. Josh throwing the Star Excalibur by Innova Champion Disc. Here's a word from the PDGA.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
My name's Cody Britton, and it's a hot one out here, which is perfect because we're going to be talking about the heat. One of the great things about the heat is it gives any skill level player the ability to get it up to speed, to get tremendous amounts of glide. The rim fits well in anyone's hand. So one of the things that I love about this disc is how easily I can throw a consistent anhyzer. You can even use it to throw manicured shots through the woods. It's just an all-around phenomenal disc. Check out the heat for yourself today. You can pick one up at discraft.com or your local retailer.
We're back with Barsby on 17's fairway. This is going to be a flex forehand, and it's not really a play for the green. It's more of a play for 30 or 40 feet at best. And that's a good angle. It just needs to scoot. And that's a really good result just outside circle one. He may have a low ceiling with the trees on the left side, but considering his lie, Barsby will be happy with that result.
And that's what I was thinking at best he would be looking at, is finding a way to maybe get near the basket We'll see if he can convert. And that was a solid approach shot there by Greg Barsby. Now, Josh Anthon, on the other hand, definitely plenty of distance here. You would think he's in a good position, but with that tree directly in front of him, I'm not sure how he's going to get it all the way up to the pin, only because he's not going to have much of a run up, or is he? No, it's going to be a standstill. It's just a matter of, can he position it and give it the right angle to also have a look at the basket for the next putt. Yeah.
And that's a good
kick.
bounce.
Okay,
There are some gaps in those trees. Nico, not with his best approach from there. He's going to leave that around circle's edge. Ideally, you want to land just on the front of the wood chips. Usually that'll skip you up to the basket, but that just came out a bit low from LeCastro.
And as they move down the fairway, we can take a quick look at the scores. That Paul Ulibarri sits at that 32 along with Josh Anthon. James Conrad at 33. He's in the clubhouse at 33 under par. Barsby at 35 under par. Oram, Macbeth, and Perkins, along with Seppu Paju, all looking at the second card right now for tomorrow's play. And there's there's Uli putting it right next to the basket.
Yeah, beautifully played. That's an easy birdie.
So right now, Paul Macbeth, along with Matt Oram, Nate Perkins, and Seppu, will all likely be your chase card contenders, barring something crazy yet. Nothing's happening. Those are who you're going to find on the chase card tomorrow.
That's correct.
Barsby, Conrad, Anthon, and Ulibarri, your lead card for the final round of the 2018 Pro World Championships presented by Innova and Discraft. Nico's attempt just off the front of the basket. I thought he had it. And that low-hanging ceiling has to be messing with everybody here. And we'll see if it does the same for these next few putts.
And that's a bit of a missed opportunity for LeCastro. Middle of the fairway, as wide open an approach as you'll have on 17. Just a bit of a missed shot. And I know he's going to be frustrated with that result.
Barsby for birdie here on 17.
He stabbed it through and gone a little bit past the basket. There is some trouble back there, but I doubt he's traveled far enough to find it. It'll likely just be a par for Barsby.
And Josh Anthon obviously also having troubles here with not only the low ceiling, but looks like, oh, wow, this might be one of the most awkward stances we've seen in a while. And he's going to opt for something else. I believe Josh's family, Amanda and his newborn child, along with his other son, out there taking in all the action. So shout out to all of them watching from California. And Josh just does not have a good angle at this putt.
It looks like we may see a forehand putt from Anthon here.
Wow.
A rare tournament sighting, but
you definitely would have to go back in the archives to find a forehand putt from.
Oh,
yes!
And he
Holy
drains
cow!
it.
Josh
Wow.
Anthon converts on the forehand putt from circle 2.
A rare tournament sighting, but
you definitely would have to go back in the archives to find a forehand putt from. Oh, yes!
And he
Holy
drains
cow!
it.
Josh
Wow.
Anthon.
Love watching Anton putt. As we said earlier, he's fearless. If he misses that putt from this distance, it probably doesn't go too far past. But one of the reasons that people don't putt with their forehands is they just have potential to spin a lot. And once you miss the basket, they can travel a long way past. Josh Anton doesn't care about probabilities.
Josh Anton,
he cares about making putts.
If he sees the basket, he thinks he can put it in.
I love it.
He's proven just that. Hey, Jonathan. And there's Jerry.
That just reminds me of Big Al from the Little League World Series. He said, my name's Big Al and I hit dingers. That's just, my name's Josh Anton. I hit putts.
Wow, and look at what Barsby's faced with here. Oh,
and that's a huge putt from Barsby.
Oh, that could have been real trouble, but Greg Barsby says, I've got this. May take my hat off in the meantime, but I got this. Step aside.
Ulibarri's in for an easy birdie. Oh. We've got a three-way tie for second at 33 under par between Josh Anton, James Conrad, and Paul Ulibarri. All 2 shots back of Greg Barsby. 1 hole to play today, 1 round to play tomorrow. As we move over to hole 18, 345 feet, the 13th most difficult hole on the course as it sits right now. That difficulty changes throughout the day as we do have groups passing through. So you may have heard that number before. Now this is playing as the 13th most difficult. 2.89 scoring average. Most players are going to play a flex around this bush that the drone is passing. Just to finish to the left, the main thing to avoid is anything early right or left. Once you've beaten the early right or left trouble, you can get up here and make a putt. I would expect to see at least a couple of birdies here, if not 3 or 4. This is a hole that our lead card competitors have. They played some difficult holes up until this point. I think they're at the point now where they want to finish on a birdie, carry some good momentum into tonight in preparation for tomorrow's final round.
Well, and speaking of momentum and being completely focused and dialed in, you have the putt from Josh Anton for the birdie. You're only making maybe 2 out of 10 of those at best.
I'm making
usually.
fewer than that, but okay.
So he makes that. He converts that putt. And then Greg Barsby, who's faced with a little bit of a tester comeback. He's obstructed. He's now just looked at a birdie putt and now is trying to save the par putt. He dials it in. He goes ahead and he answers with that putt. This is just so incredibly exciting. Thank you guys for tuning in. I've got a little bit of goosebumps here as we're watching all of this action unfold. Just 19 holes left to play at the World Championships.
Ulibarri's shot is high and left. He's waiting for that to filter down. He's actually gotten kicked down a bit short. He's going to have a look at the basket, but a little bit of a low ceiling with that tree on the left side of the green. And barring some unforeseen circumstance, this will be our lead card for tomorrow. Greg Barsby, Josh Anton, James Conrad, and Paul Ulibarri. Conrad putting down the 10 under par 51 today, carding only 4 pars on the day, 2 bogeys, and I'm not good at math, but a lot of birdies.
Just incredible. Here's Nico LaCastro, who's had a little bit of a struggle today. I'd love to see him end on a strong note here with a birdie or possibly the ace. We'll take it.
And this is a beautiful shape.
Oh, yeah.
Well executed. That's going to put him 25 feet from the basket.
And Nico, although not had the greatest day, he's only slipped to a tie for 10th. So with the good lead and the score he was at going into today, this less than awesome round still keeps him in the top 10. Let's see if he can bounce back strong tomorrow.
Barsby's shape is a bit too far right. It's going to sit down, and he's likely not taking birdie here, so we may have some players within 1 shot of him after the round.
Here's a message. Welcome back. We've got Greg Barsby, who has some obstruction. In fact, there's really 2 bushes on the course, and they're both between him and the basket right now, on this hole, I should say.
I was going to say, I'll have to go recount, but I think there are more.
There's a couple more than, Greg Barsby trying to end with a little flair, but instead he's just going to have a tap-in par, which is going to keep Greg Barsby at 35 under par. He's going to be your leader as we go into the final round tomorrow. The question is, will he have a 1-stroke lead on Josh Anthon, or will he have a 2-stroke lead that might include Josh Anthon, James Conrad, and Paul Ulibarri? Uli can pull to within 1 if he makes this putt.
And Ulibarri hates it out of his hand.
Yeah, he knew it right away that was not going to convert. So here's Josh Anthon to pull within a single stroke of Greg Barsby, a fellow California native. We'll see if Josh can convert. He's looking at about 38, maybe 40 feet. Josh to go to 34 under.
Just a bit high left. That was probably 3 inches from staying in the basket. But Anthon is going to settle for par, and that's going to leave us with a 3-way tie for second place between Anthon, Conrad, and Ulibarri. Greg Barsby is going to maintain his 2-shot lead going into Fox Run Meadows tomorrow.
Nico outstretched to his left, way inside the circle. I'm going to count this one.
And that's just off to the left for Nico. Not a great day for him. He's going to end at 1 under par, 2 birdies, 1 bogey, and a whole lot of pars today. And that caps off what I assume Ulibarri would like to be a little bit better, but that's going to be a round of 6 under par, 55 for Ulibarri, 7 under par for Anthon. Barsby with another 7 under par, 54. Conrad jumping onto the lead card with a 10 under par, 51.
Greg Barsby getting a little bit of love there. I know at some point we're going to actually be catching up with Steve Hill from the PDGA. I think he's out on the course, and I know once all the scorecards are added up, he'll likely check in with someone from the lead card, likely Greg Barsby, that is. It's just been an unbelievable day here. To quickly recap what you were just talking about, James Conrad shooting up from the second card onto the lead card with that 10 under par. That was surprisingly only the second hottest round of the day.
Right.
We talked about Nate Perkins with his 11 under a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and bogey free as well.
Bogey free, yes. So very impressive. Congratulations to Nate for a solid round. But you said it, 3 guys tied for second place, all at 33 under par. Conrad, Anthon, and Ulibarri, with Greg Barsby just a few strokes ahead.
And this is what I love, is that we've got storylines going into tomorrow, right? We've got guys who don't have their major victory. We've got guys who have gotten them, but they're a few strokes back, and they're hungry. You know, we've got Macbeth sitting in 6th place right now, 5 shots off the lead, but the way that Macbeth's played Fox Run before, anything is possible. We have so many guys in contention right now. And then on the women's side, we've got some competitors at the top. Paige Bierkes looking for her first major victory, and then Paige Pierce trying to seal her 5th world title. And then we've got, Sarah Hokum, Rebecca Cox, just a lot of ladies in the mix who are playing really well right now. Everyone's back at Fox Run tomorrow. We have a lot more scoring separation, some potential for fantastic scores, and then some potential for some really difficult holes and really big scores. And so I can't wait to see how this shakes out. This has been, for me, one of my favorite worlds in recent memory, just because we have so many people in the mix right now.
Well, and here's something that has to be talked about, as we saw some of the competitors out there this morning wearing gloves and stocking caps. Paige Bierkes, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., it is forecasted to be 44 degrees.
Hey, you know what that means? It's vest weather.
Oh,
it's really important. I'd say more important than it's not.
Than the
it's
championship.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll call that more important.
But 44 degrees tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. There is only going to be a high. Right now it's 6 p.m. local time. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we're looking at 56 degrees for a high. So a very chilly afternoon. Something these competitors haven't been accustomed to throughout this year, as we are moving into the latest time we have ever had a World Championships take place. Ricky Wysocki's reign, which went from June last year, which was one of the earliest championships, to now one of the latest championships. So his reign was one of the longest in terms of this particular year. So it's great stuff. We're super excited to be bringing you the action. I know we're going to have Steve Hill coming at you in just a few moments as I see him lining up. I think he's going to be talking with Greg Barsby, and we'll come back real quickly after Steve Hill ends up talking with Greg. But weather, scoring separation. Crazy.
Honestly, in a Fox run, because it's more open, once the sun is out there, that 58 is going to feel more like 65, and it's going to be just ideal scoring conditions. And I personally am just so excited to be out there. I'm going to follow the action with the FPO card out on the course, and then get to come back with you in the studio here and watch everything unfold. And so, not very many bad days here in Vermont, I'll tell you that. Quick plug for Smuggler's Notch. If you haven't been here before, this place is incredible. Like I said before, Shay, my wife, and I got to come up here in 2016 for the Pro Tour Championship, and we are back now because we loved it so much. And even her parents are here as well. And so this is an event and a location that is not to be missed. Beautiful disc golf courses and a lot of activities here at Smuggler's Notch.
Well, we have to thank Jeff Spring and the entire Smuggler's Notch Resort crew, along with the PDGA, of course, as we're here taking in all the action. And it looks like we're going to have Steve Hill. Like I said, he's lined up Greg Barsby as we're seeing them out near hole 18. And I think we're going to be ready to go with them in just a few moments as soon as he gets ready. And just trying to clarify and make sure if they're currently in position or not. But either way, it's been a great day. Looking forward to tomorrow. And let's get out there to Steve Hill and Greg Barsby. I think they're just about ready to go.
He's feeling good. Everything's, it's the fourth round of the world, so it's kind of all systems go. If something isn't working, just make it work. Right. Going back to Fox tomorrow. Played well there yesterday. Any adjustments you need to make, or is it more of a mentality thing? Just try to stay off of bogeys. I think that was my 6th bogey at the tournament around 15. So it's 6 too many. Try not to add any more to it. Obviously, it's the last round. It's going to be a shootout. I think Conrad jumped on there. He's a couple back as well. Right. So all the guys are 2 back of me, and it's really just one shot on that course. So just keep a mentality and try to keep a nice even level of intensity. Back to the last time you were in a big event, European Open, final round, big crowds, big energy. What have you learned from that you feel like you can apply tomorrow? Just ride it, ride the wave, the energy wave. It's been an awesome crowd out here so far. Really just feeling the love from these guys has been great. So, that kind of helps everything. I think it's just easier to play when you're having fun and everybody's kind of having fun with you. There's just a vibe that goes with that. So try to just conjure that tomorrow and play some golf. 1 round away from World Championship? How's that sound? Sounds like I got 1 round to go. But it's a good position to be in. I think anybody else would probably be pretty stoked to be in this position too. So I'm happy. I still haven't really turned it on all the way yet. So if I can turn it on right here in the 5th round, I think I can do it. I know I can do it if I turn it on in the 5th round. It's going to be a dogfight. These guys are great disc golfers. So. All right, that's Greg Barsby, leading after 4 rounds of Pro Worlds. And we'll be back here at Fox Run with more coverage tomorrow. We'll throw it back to you guys out in the booth. Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve Hill, along with Greg Barsby, your leader, as he moves into the 5th and final round tomorrow. Robert, any parting shots you'd like to share with the world?
Just excited to be here. I'm just here so I don't get fined. No.
There you go.
I will say thank you guys so much, all of you, for tuning in, and thank you so much for the super chats. That's what makes us able to do what we do here with the live coverage. Terry and Johnny and their whole crew getting to cover so many events. Thank you guys so much for that. You really don't know how much that means to us.
We very much appreciate it. All of the winners will be announced later tonight. Johnny V will be doing the drawings and then making an announcement on our SmashBoxxTV Facebook page. That might be a clever ploy for you to go out and like our Facebook page.
It's the only way to get it.
So go out and find it there. In all seriousness, we really appreciate it. Make sure you also like the PDGA page as well. And when you're in the area, you have to check out Smuggler's Notch Resort, as it's just a tremendous property, as you've discussed, Robert.
Right.
So I'd like to thank our crew out there just working so hard, both Chad and Rick running around the course twice today, 2 different courses to bring you the coverage. They're going to do it again tomorrow, so you can watch FPO Champion in the morning, MPO Champions in the afternoon. We want to thank Steve Hill, along with the rest of the PDGA, Jeff Spring and his entire staff and crew for working so tirelessly to bring us this World Championships. Robert McCall, Dynamic Disc, and all of our other supporters that have been helping us out throughout this week. Johnny V, Gary to the O back in Milwaukee. For myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and Robert McCall, we'll see you tomorrow for Championship Sunday at the PDGA Pro Worlds when you step inside the Smashbox.
putt from.
All right.